terrible concern.
Well, we have seen the promises, we've seen the potential, but we've also seen the stumbles. Today, for KC and Navi, there will be no second chances. It's time to see who shows up and whose season will end without the possibilities of making it to Masters. Let's welcome the teams onto stage.
Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch, I'm at top notch on the block. Slip and slide like me, nah. Spice it up with a sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said bah, bah, bah. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said bah. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said bah. I can't keep up, play follow the leader. Big queso, I'm born with the ether, but I still take a heater. No halo, I've been with a handgun, I've been on my King Kong, come halo. I've been on. What? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch, I'm at top notch on the block. Slip and slide like me, nah. Spice it up with a sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said what? Check my pedigree, I got legacy in my pot. You playing hopscotch, I'm at top notch on the block. Slip and slide like me, nah. Chillin' with the sauce. Yeah, my Lord said don't do it, I said what?
Today is all about survival. It is a very, very long road if either of these teams want to make it to their first Masters of the year. Which brings us to the map vetoes. This could be the last time we see one of these teams on stage, which is crazy to say, which means that this is going to be a very important set of maps. Minnie, what do you make of the bans so far?
KC, I expected them to ban Fracture here, but Navi picked it 3 times in a row and lost every time.
Yeah.
So it's almost like Navi might be happy that this has happened. Stop Navi from kind of trolling themselves a little bit with that one.
Yeah, I think Icebox and Split, not necessarily a big surprise. Feels a little neutral. The big question mark for me hangs over map 3, actually,
Yeah.
if we go there. That's kind of unknown territory, to be honest with you.
And it annoys me that it is, because Navi have always been good at
Yeah,
Ascent,
yeah.
always.
Yeah, I backed Angel as the best Ascent caller, probably in EMEA, and he thought he was better on Fracture, but I think it'll be interesting to see today who's right or who's wrong. I think Angel would prefer if I was right today.
Will we get to see map 3 though? That's the
I
$1 million
think-
I think there's a real chance we do, actually, with Icebox and Split on here.
I think Icebox is heavily favored towards KC, and then
Navi
Navi...
got the Gecko comp on Icebox, if I'm not mistaken. And that
It was decent, it beat Vitality, but KC,
How much
they've
stock
won it
yeah.
three in a row.
Yeah.
Like,
They're going to change their
favourite
comp.
map.
There is Navi.
You think Navi changed their comp?
changes their comp every week.
But they won.
Yeah, but so they all still change their comp when they win. They do this all the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think they'll stay the same.
I'm not sure, especially after yesterday, you know, I don't know. I mean, who knows what they've been talking about overnight and what they
But
have
I said
going
there's something
into
that we say about Navi. Again, well, actually, even on the other side of the stage today, a team that's bought into the harbour so heavily throughout stage 1, or at least initially this year, then Navi the ones to pull something out of the bag here?
It does disrupt, I guess, the little prep time at least KC would have, because they obviously didn't know who they were going to play until after the Navi game. And speaking of that, I believe Zaysha's shaved his hair off, so he's donning the ball buff coming into this.
You said he looked like me earlier.
They need every follicle, I guess, to help
It's
them.
I think it's the stress. He's
Do you
probably
think it's
started.
the stress?
The hair started before he just committed, I think.
No, I
The
reckon
KC
it's
effect. So it's taken a while for Zaysh, actually.
yeah, I reckon they need the buff. I think he's kind of like, I would dedicate my entire life to this, so to make sure we get through today. It is going to be a very, very important game, of course. But let's talk about this Icebox. Why are KC so good here?
Why are they so good?
Yeah.
I think Martin on the Omen specifically has been farming every single time he plays it, to be honest.
Yeah, this has been a conversation topic again, with teams kind of flexing onto it, allowing duelists to really kind of play around with expectations of, you know, seeing the Omen on the board. Well, actually, only switch up's going to be Aves, actually, coming onto the Tejo. So still going to see Martin on there. Like I said, I mean, we were talking about this the other day, actually. It really depends who's playing the Omen. I think Martin's one of the...
I think that's a mistake. I think that's the same.
Oh, is it the same? Oh, maybe. Anyway, regardless, but Martin, I think, has been one of the good examples to say you kind of give him some freedom to play it how he sees fit, and he's really found comfort there.
Yeah, I do think the Omen is becoming like that meta on Icebox right now. I think there are ways to deal with it, but it seems like both of the duelists in these teams are very comfortable with it. So it should be a good head-to-head. But I would favor KC.
Oh, it's going to be a fantastic series. So we need some fantastic casters to take us through this. Hazza and Cairo, take it away.
Thank you so much, Sue and the desk. It's a rematch from both of these teams' kickoff campaigns, but this time it's for elimination. Navi trying to chase the shadow of their former selves, whereas KC looking to break that narrative of those early playoff struggles.
Yeah, 100%, and I think as well as revenge, right, for Angel and Shao against their old teammate of Sugetsu. So whether they can get that revenge or not, it's going to be something entirely to look at. But as for Icebox, both teams have been impressing, right, with this composition. No duelist. I'm excited to see what both teams bring forward in this map.
Double controller on both sides, but we start in KC's backyard, Icebox, the map where they picked up from last time, of course. The context of that previous defeat to Liquid is important, but the one thing that stood out to me is the fact that you can have that series reset, come back in, and then look as good as you did on Icebox. So that's where they'll need to pick up where they left off. Heading into the pistol round, it's not exactly their forte, but from the attack side, it looks like we're getting a different look from them this time.
Oh, look at this. Towards mid, Martin, aggressive and TP's behind. It's Sugetsu who gets the first. KC end up a man in head. Still Martin though, stuck in enemy lines.
He has a way to disengage here. There are still smokes blocking the path. Navi yet to route him out of position.
Oh, Hero's completely caught. Martin has not been missing at all. And Rusik left all alone in defender spawn. At least he'll be able to stop the domination from the Omen. But KC, 2 kills to the good.
Martin happy to overheat a little bit there. Closing on a milestone amount of kills. On the Omen, of course, as we know him to play the duelist, but I really like this early start from KC with Sadak. Now has the 0-point knife available again, collecting some of that early info. It's not going to spot Ruxic just yet, but as the snakebite flies over back of yellow and the turret takes contact, Sadak might just swing this solo.
Same time though, you've still got many more tools to work with here. Avez having those salvos and every single player ready to swing on out. KC will get the first round of this series.
Such a strong start for KC to pick up on. They finished out on the attack side last time when they were playing Liquid on this map. You can already see Sadak keeping everyone in check. As you say, this is a balancing act in every sense for both of these teams. Stability has been hard to come upon. In terms of this opener, yeah, Martin's just TP'd into the edge of his own smoke. It looked like it was blocking the window. He actually gets in front. That was really nice micro.
I think the thing is, though, is Navi should be aware of the possibilities, right? Like, they're the ones who have done something similar in the past with their aggressive Omen. It's aggressive towards B. Yeah. There's 5 of Navi's players here.
That knife was just on the edge. KC have no idea. Navi are closing in. There's a pack of players.
Martin's ready. So is Sadak. Oh, Koala coming round from the other side. And Navi come out the other end of it with upgrades.
And the spike at their feet. So KC have to clamber back through the garage. Elite on a ghost to get to the Guardian. Both regen shields. And look at that. Vandal in the hands of Ruxic Hero. There is support here for Navi. And Crossfire set up with the alarm bot for contact.
Only bit of utility that you'd really depend upon here is that paranoia to re-engage. 2 nanos, sure for delay, but nobody will want to mess around with that on Navi. This will just be straight up gunfights. Finally that smoke comes up.
Yeah, I don't completely know about that one from Koala, Noob, because it doesn't maybe allow Sugetsu to get in this gap of his own smoke, and there you go, Hero isolated, Paranoia no value, this could become problematic. Oh, it's getting out of hand, Sugetsu's found 3, and with 1 bullet left to his name, funneling bullets back into the magazine, getting out of dodge with HP and time.
He's also got that regen shield, so he'll have something to work with. Both players on similar amounts of HP. And also has that molly.
Ooh.
Time's going to get really close here when he tries to attempt to plant.
He's going to plant topside as well. No, he's not. It's just for the extra speed to get to getting right in there. Spike goes down. Ruxic, the reprisal from Rafters.
Viper versus Viper.
Sugetsu, I don't know if he was spotted there or not, but Ruxic feels confident on this re-entry to site. Toxins go up and he starts to work on the defuse behind it. Sui closing in. Does he have time? It's just a stick. No! Sugetsu denies it against his former club. 4 kills, but you can't help but feel that Navi misplayed a huge opportunity in that round.
And I think that's the key point coming out of it, right? They misplayed a chance when they were in an advantage. And I want to bring this back to yesterday, right? How many times did we see Navi get themselves into a position and then allow BBL to just clutch it up, sociable?
You said one clutch.
Oh, no.
I'm sure that's not the last we were going to hear from Zeish there on the reaction. Exactly, right into the next round. Martin back in mid. Double TP, he's fully sent this. Between the lines, look at KC, so quick to take the B site.
Yeah, they've identified where Martin is and it's quick to collapse upon, but Elite out of nowhere gets to... Angel's cut off the cross.
Yeah, one back at the very least. It's a 3-on-3 and Navi do have the slightly better weapons. That's discounting Sadak, but his position in kitchen could be killer and the shots will land. That showdown. Advantage KC from this position. And looking at the defenders, they're split up and still worried about the captain.
Sadak's doing so much here for KC, and now that those mollies, the utility, get so much more value here.
Sugetsu just sidestepping his own smoke. Navi playing with borrowed time. Sugetsu looking to close the net, and that's what he'll do. Transfer to make it a third. Karmine Corp moving on from troubled waters in their anti-eco. But with the bonus round, it just gets better.
Now they've destroyed KC's economy. This is really nice from Elite, by the way, to trade out through the orange position. And then Sadak buying so much more time.
That's always been something he's been accredited to heavily as a caller. The ability to just change up the pacing on a dime. It's that mid hit there that you see. Again, Martin showing us the flexibility of his agent pool with the Omen. It's the duelist, the de facto one on the other side. Koala Noob, of course, playing the same role. Double smokes, both sides.
I think the thing is, though, KC at the same time are starting to... Sorry, not KC, Navi are starting to test the waters here. You look at the Viper here, it's moved all the way up B long, Ruxic, and they were also just looking towards mid momentarily, but KC slow rolling up towards A, waiting for those toxins to drop.
Bit of utility for sustain. Koala does have the smoke, but Shao forced to peek into a family photo on the KC side. A quick click of the shutter, pull of the trigger and they're down, while Ruxic has been highlighted on the flank. Struggle to see him getting too much value from this. Elite should have it under wraps, and there you have it. Ruxic eliminated. Full focus can be put on the site itself.
Yeah, KC have done so well here. Slow rolled their way through it, waiting for Navi to peek them, and just dealt with every opportunity that came their way.
It's threat mitigation, I think, which we're talking about here, and also the mid-rounding, something which is going to come up a lot during this series. The way that KC like to play is they take early space, they freeze, and then Navi, they're just waiting for the re-clear. You get it through the flank this time, but something that we'll have to continually keep tabs on. Because when you actually look at it and you take a step back at both of these in-game leaders, Sadak has never lost to Angel in his history. And the even funnier part about that is, he never played FPX.
Yeah.
Always found a way to dodge each other in those brackets.
Valorant has brought out the op, that's towards A. KC now mostly towards B, but you've also got to be looking at Martin going towards Snowman. That flash was perfect. Ruxic trying to escape here and manages to keep his life. Navi coming straight back into this one, but it's the players from mid that opens up the site for KC.
Oh, Naves with one more. The extra details, the pit dropped in. Shao still ahead of this and can interrupt. That's exactly what he does, and as the pit drops, he gets back to cover.
Koala now in position in towards Snowman. That long line of sight, that's exactly where you want the operator, but it misses the first shot. KC have bought themselves a bit of space, but they've found Koala Noob at the same time. And now Elite has to try and find a safe space for this spike.
Another one of the differences in the comp is that plant security. KC usually have that affiliation with Harbor, but no Sage, no Gecko, nothing of the sort. You're forced to try and take that extra space. I like the idea for them to go for the switch up again in this fast B play. But as it now falls down to just Elite, a steady pair of hands who steered that BBL ship for most of last year, now on KC, and it's moments like this where you want to see something big from the youngster.
Has safe space here to plant the spike as well. Alarm bot and nanos to work with. Has to find an isolated duel onto at least one of the Navi players. Fast.
It's just the fact that he looks to toy with. Shao does still have the wingman, and Koala does have a smoke, so Elite needs to be heads up with this.
Yeah, it's just straight up gunfights. Hasn't used any of the utility. Boss fight found, and Koala noob will be able to get Navi's first round on Icebox.
Great way to break the ice. Navi needed that. Ooh, don't know where that one's off to, but good to know that we're still, yeah, on Icebox and not thinking about split just yet. That the KC momentum can be stopped. In terms of what Navi did well, just winning a couple of these key duels, and this is brilliant play from Shao. One of the reasons why he was retained in this roster by Angel
Well done.
is just due to his consistency at the top level, consistently being able to play regardless of the role.
Just to give you a little statistic, Kaza, one for the folks at home. Martin is 1 kill off 1,000, which is absolutely insane to think about. Something that we were speaking about a little bit earlier, but we'll have to see how much impact that's going to have in the game at hand. In terms of this round, full by both teams. Ruxic already reinforcing A, and Op on Koala Noob on the other extremity. KC need to be diligent in how they look to manage this situation, and already with the turret broken in mid, that's where Navi's protocols start to get tested, and you can see Hero just repositioning himself towards Kitchen, actually. Oh, a little loose on the trigger finger there. I mean, if Navi really want to clear out this Viper's Pit, you have the lockdown on Elite. Killjoy Ultimate would do well to clear out that A side, and that's where the spike is.
He's still a bit timid here. Utility invested, suppression on Ruxic. He'll be unperturbed by the situation, but walks into Danger, and Danger fires back. Sadak with one. Hero here out in the open, and down the long hallway of Kitchen. It's a long road back to the A site for Navi.
KC find themselves a little pocket of domain to work within, but remember, it was only Martin that was seeing it. Aves activates at the right time.
This is getting a little bit chaotic now, and with Aves being able to pick that one up, control is restored. Order maintained as far as KC are concerned. Still Aves coming in late, has the salvos if need be. The wingman can try and make things a little more difficult for the attack to try and digest. It does get the spike to half, but that's where Aves brings us back to reality. Angel dealt with. Last player sat in spawn, it's Shao, and Aves has him caught. KC back to winning ways. That's number 5.
Clinical is the words that I would use, and I think right now, Sadak is completely outcalling Angel. The defense are not dealing with these mid-lurks, and that's time and time again, 3 or 4 times, that Navi have found themselves a player or 2 down.
So we're immediately going to see a timeout come through from the Frenchman against his countryman's organisation, I suppose, I don't know.
Yeah.
But both of these teams, of course, looking later down the line into the year. We know each of them rebuilding. Import of Sadak, of course, now up against a regional veteran in the form of Angel. It must be said, the goal is champs, and that's what you're thinking about at the end of the line. But in terms of the game right now, the big takeaway from that is that Navi had a good setup, but KC just so slow and methodical, and having conditioned that mid-pressure you were talking about, it feels like they've got their finger on the pulse. They can always just change up how it is exactly they're approaching each and every lane. It's making life very difficult for Navi.
And I think as well, like the other thing about KC, and I love that you speak about the conditioning aspect of it, because the one round where Navi looked to actually approach mid and fight it, right? KC just sent it A, and they were slow to respond to that. So Navi right now, on their pistol round, I would really like them to try and push the limits here, right?
There you have it. A millennia for Martin. 1,000 kills in VCT EMEA. A player only just joining since partnerships began, but great to see yet another face from Challengers. Suddenly become one of the most feared players coming into this playoff stage, it must be said. He has had a good start to this map.
Well enough, but though, it's come up time again, and this time he's trying to find a little gap in which to work with, and there is KC players here, and they've heard Koala actually jump back. Again, KC, like they've managed to avoid this mid play that Navi have set up as well.
And I think that's exactly what you're doing in this round if you're KC, because you know of the threats that lie on this Navi side. As we said many a time, Eco's not something that you're consistently looking at them potentially being able to post, but one off of a lockdown, a Thrash, Hero Shao, and Angel, of course, having the Armageddon available. There are 5 Navi players on the other side of Spawn, and they're happy to commit it here.
Yeah, they've sent it back in, and they've able to get one, but at the same time, Zugetsu is completely cleared up. I don't think a shorty will work at that range. But KC's rifles certainly do, and I think they're moving through this with ease at this point, Hazard. The only thing is, time is getting low, and that spike needs to go down.
It's the only remaining pressure in the round, as you say. 15 seconds, less time. Once that spike goes in, Angel, it's a hit and hope. And I have to say, coming out of the timeout, you weren't fully expecting those ults to be invested, but this is something that we saw yesterday as well against BBL when they called the pause. You had, it was like a stun contact for an orbital strike. The fact they're so willing to invest such heavy pieces into these rounds where it's like just a couple of sheriffs, it does leave you scratching your head a little bit at what they think those win conditions are.
I'm blind, I'm flashed, I'm bolted, man.
Yeah, no, I have to agree. I just feel as if Navi are a bit too eager at the same time, right? Don't know, man. Like, I feel as if like it's ultimates that could be easily used in this round, and while they have a couple here to retake back into, the A side is the weaker of the two, and there is only Ruxic here.
I'm also just looking at Sadak's null command, because one of the unique interactions with there being the KO in play is that KC do have a natural counter to this double layering of smokes. And sure, the first line of that defense will go down, the toxic screen removed. The question is, with the knife coming back up and all of this extra util in post, is, how do KC want to try and play it? It looks like Martin wants to go on the offensive. 1,000 and counting as he adds yet another. Still those big ults for Navi to work with, though.
KC need to be careful with those coming back in. Lockdown most importantly, and you can see players ready to try and counteract this and fight in towards screens.
It's brilliant. Armageddon goes in, you've got a fragment there as well, and boom, lockdown evaporated. KC using the tools they had available, and Navi are going to call it quits. Martin even in a position here to potentially take a gun away. Does think better of it though, gives Angel the time of day, but I have to say, it just feels like KC are one step ahead in how they're planning out these rounds.
100%. I even thought that they were going to set up Martin to go and fight screens, but instead, I don't even need to risk a player, right? They just seem one or two, in fact, maybe even 3 steps ahead of what Navi want to do.
I mean, we talk about finding feet in playoffs. It doesn't matter how many steps. KC are in front, and it's by 6 rounds now. Even just the fact that Aves was so close to getting that Armageddon, and then that's actually what they used to counter the lockdown. Lots of thought being put into this. Another gun round coming up. Navi at the very least have been able to hang on to a lot of those weapons, including the operator. Koala is on the other side of the map. V getting a look in from KC.
Well, Ruxic lucky to escape with his life there, but we're back towards looking at mid, right? And Navi have dedicated hero at least to watch on to this spot.
Poison's off.
I'd say as well, looking at the comps for both, it also gets to in mid. Huge duel wins it, and with that, it feels like this Navi defensive setup has almost completely collapsed. The B-long control taken early, that now getting re-cleared. Navi will know that there's nobody here right now, but KC are just going to go ahead and take it right back.
Seeing the timing. Navi now look towards A, this tail drone, pulling players across. And KC, slow roll once again. Just double checking mid, yeah, they're going to think that this is towards A, but unfortunately, utility on B pulls them back.
KC have already bypassed this. Sadak gutting out the site itself, just making sure he has the space for the spike plant. All over from Koala. Navi pretty quick in how they're looking to retake.
At the same time, look at those that post-plant utility. Molly on Sugetsu, Sadak. I mean, Elite's got some of his own, and Avez even has the salvos. This is going to be really hard for Navi to get through.
It's a kill already, though, from Angel. That softens things up massively. Martin missing. Not a player yellow side. All of them backed up into main. Fragment out. It was the salvos as well that we saw. It's a bit of a cluster on site right now, but Angel is just sticking this all the way through, holding the line, and KC nowhere to be seen. Sadak, the last player left. The final remnant of this standoff. A well-executed retake, and a very much needed one at this stage in the half.
Yeah, it was a nice retake, but what happened to the post plant? There was layering through mid as well. I mean, sure, Sugetsu gets the first tier, but on top of that, there was further players to come through later in the post plant, and there was so much utility that KC could work with. Rather than taking the jewels, I know Navi tried to go and look for them, but just use that utility and depend upon it. You don't need to fight.
Wallace still standing. Walk down mid to frisk KC.
No
Oh, it's info again, but a quick trade. It's only Ruxic walking down long.
At the same time though, right? You get rid of the tail, that's clearing utility gone, and not only that, post-plant utility as well. That could be a really big pick when we look at the post-plant for KC.
You're moving back over towards B. Just clearing out this pocket. Seems like both sides grouping up on A. KC already giving away their steps. The alarm bot contact hit. It's Hero offside. They've still got the Thrash and a lot of those key pieces from the previous round.
Yeah, this retake should be pretty strong coming back in. Spike plant going to be successful here, but Javier coming straight in. They're going to be quick here.
They are immediately on the site. Shao picking up his first. Angel right by his side. Looking like another successful retake. Unless Sugetsu can do something to stop this, but Navi bearing on down to his position, have their third, a second successive round for the first time in this half as the defense continues to show signs of life.
Yeah, and I think as well, KC at the minute, maybe letting a chance slip to really extend their lead. I mean, 7-4, 7-5. That's not a bad half at all, and that's why we're going to see Eng and Zeish introduce themselves into this match for the first time.
Nice, boys!
It's KC timeout of the game. And I think, you know, it's important to mention as well, stylistically, this comp already is very on brand with the type of Valorant that Sadak had been pushing for a long time when you look back towards his stint on Loud. Most well known there as an X-Champs winner. He likes to play with all the chips on his side of the felt, you know? Yeah. When you are in that situation, you saw it a couple rounds ago, where he can move up B long, it's constantly going to be re-smoked, especially because Navi are also running a similar comp here. Just complete information denial, all cards at his chest, and forcing them to try and re-clear, forcing them to commit pieces to the space, because the change that I've seen in the last couple now is that Navi are immediately getting bodies in place and then just flooding, not allowing KC to actually get the kind of setup that they want. And when this chaos does break out, it doesn't feel like, you know, the communication is there anymore.
I think as well, with both teams having similar comps, right, it really does come down to the game plan and the calling structure, and what the game plan actually is from both teams. Right now, KC well ahead. Walanoob looking to challenge mid with his operator. That's a fight to look towards.
It is. Different angle, fresh perspective from the previous round. Homemade one way that drops in, and Koala goes down on the other side. Elite seem to have the right idea. That was really well read.
It is, and on top of that, that's a massive point to lose if you're Navi. Because Koala's operator, very quick, we all know that, but it's also a part of the map that he can watch and allow Navi to gain information through that. There is 3 for Navi on A, and Casey are walking straight into this.
Six spotted the first of those players, but he'll be without the poison cloud to try and face it. Angel goes solo, Sadak taking the duel against the in-game leader on the other side and backtracking his footsteps. Shao into the utility dump. Martin, Aerial, and able to get the pickup. Ruxic still hanging around here though. Playing from below the pipes in the maze, Sadak flashing in. It just feels like wherever Navi try and go, they're isolated, alone, and now removed from the situation. Hero the next to give a roll of the dice, but you don't feel any better about his odds than what we've seen up until this point, but it starts well.
They're just giving them solo engagements.
It gets better, and Hero is gonna find all 3. A triple kill on the site from the young star. And a Red Bull clutch that carries on the Navi streak and the comeback.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know. KC just so disconnected. I can understand the first right. You don't know where Hero's coming from. This is forgivable. Martin, though, I don't know what's happening here. And then the last, it's just so easily given to Hero.
It's incredibly frustrating for Zaj. Hero coming up with another massive clutch, as he has been dependable in those situations so far for Navi. Certainly not the first 1v3 I've seen him pull off this stage.
It won't be the last either. Towards B we go. Straight forward from KC. This has been a massive pain point for Navi. And the entry goes to Sugetsu once again through that mid duel.
Exactly, and I'm glad you raise it because it's probably the 3rd time in, the last 4 rounds that we've seen that first pick come through mid. It's an absolute oasis for KC, but even though they've been picking up these kills, still doesn't feel like they're getting the most value from them.
Interestingly enough, it's Rusick that has the op here, not Koala. And we're going to get the null command coming straight through. Players won't have the utility to work with, and Rusick has a little bit of an angle, but can't quite find what he's looking for. And that's an incredible spam.
Sadak just reverse engineering the smoke, plops down the molly, and Spike goes in. Sugetsu still hanging around in middle. Shao does remove him from the situation. Looking at that post-plant utility, KC don't have all too much. They want to fight this on the front foot, but the thrash into the smoke could be huge. How many does it get? Absolutely nothing. It's Martin with 3, and so KC do come up trumps before the end of the opening 12.
Yeah, it feels like death by 1,000 cuts by KC, and the way that they moved through the map, very slow, very methodical, looking to manipulate it in their own way, and they know exactly what Navi's setup is and how to counteract it.
An unbeaten streak so far for them here on Icebox. Does it continue? Find out after the break. Welcome back. KC finishing the half with a flourish. 8 rounds is what they'll take to the defender's side. Navi back on Icebox, where we'd seen strong signs from that Vitality game, but again, it does still feel like a bit of a red herring. The back and forth of wins and losses, they need to get off this roundabout, otherwise it's going to be an early exit.
Yeah, I think for me, Navi, the last time that they played this through, they actually impressed me a lot with some of their call-ins, some of their ideas of how they wanted to approach this. We'll see exactly how that continues as they move on towards the attack. Karmine Corp feel like the big brother in this matchup in terms of they understand how the comp is being played out and how to counteract what Navi want to do.
Last pistol on the defense. KC did a very good job at highlighting the flank, being super proactive on this defender's side, and already Hero's completely isolated under belt, but calling for backup. There's a brawl going down, and KC draw first blood.
You see it's a brawl, it's more like a beatdown. That flash is perfect though, and the trade's in Navi's favour. Martin trying to escape, but he's lucky to do just that. Moving towards B though, and KC have a bit of a notification through Elite's alarm bot.
Complete information void on A right now. Navi moving up on long. Steps soon to be heard by Elite. His utility helping dictate the pace of the flow through mid as Sugetsu has bought a rotation. But the spike is soon to go down and the spam's not landing.
Molly to deny the wingman.
Nah, he's got it.
Yeah, just about.
No problem for the wee man.
Martin still has that paranoia though. That's the other thing to consider moving into this. And well, as for Navi, the utility is looking pretty barren. It's all about these gunfights, and Navi continue to win them through this round. Martin, though, still up and alive, and you know just how good he can be. More damage being dealt, although Sugetsu now having to clutch up another 1 versus 3, and both players are low. This is doable. Shao lucky to escape here. And well, just with that, Navi will get that pistol round.
Navi winning every single pistol round yesterday against the team which led it statistically, BBL. They're still going out in straight sets from that matchup in the upper bracket. So I'm looking now at can they build on from this. It was a nice 2v1 at the end, for old time's sake, from former teammates against Sugetsu.
That's why I'm not fighting, boys.
Happy to take a back seat.
And he's doing well, considering we saw that statistic yesterday about how he's improved his first death rate.
Not only that, helping support the younger members on the team. Sure, Hero had his rookie year last year, but even there, Rooksik walking into 3 players, never going to get all of them. So just backtrack, yeah, the comms there. Hero asking for the support, knowing that KC do like to get very active. This time, though, it's a full rotation over towards A. 4 players to greet Navi, but that spike should go down first.
Yeah, I really like this response. There was 3 players towards the B side. Rooksik's called that, and well, the response from Navi is to immediately hit A. KC, though, very quick on the mark. The timing nearly works out for Karmine Corp, but at the same time, Navi have dealt with every duel that's come their way.
There's not really much to fall back upon here if you're KC either. It's a well-played round from Navi as far as they're concerned.
And I think at this point, all the Sadak right now is went like, look guys, we're not going to win these duels, we're not going to win the post plan, so let's deny them the ultimate orbs, and I think it's the right call here.
Absolutely. Next sort of checkbox up on my list, my little Navi list right now, I think is how they're going to approach this bonus. As you see Hero on his pistol, get 1 more on the way back out. It's going to help with the lockdown. As you can see in terms of ults, they're actually built more towards that Thrash, still something to be thinking about. Not really seen the full implementation of that just yet. Is what this purchase looks like, because I think a couple of times yesterday on their bonuses, they were like forcing up really heavily when they'd lost players. In terms of the money here, I mean, it looks good.
Even better than it should be, guys. We have... I got one.
Yeah, I mean, look, they're happy, right? Things are on track right now, and with this being a huge purchase for them, a swing round, because KC are massively going to struggle if they lose this.
100%. It's mid where we'll see this battle start. Elite, though, is the one who gets things off to KC's side, and they've traded things down to still an advantage in their favour. Navi's response towards the A side, Martin ahead of the mark and will even find the spike, and he's buying more time for his teammates to come and support him.
No, how does he get out? How does Martin do that? An escape artist, Houdini on the A site. But Navi back into that situation, felt like they were so separated at times. We do see it in these moments where just slight lapses in concentration. I mean, even then, they had 2 players re-clearing. They had Hero Belt.
This is the frustrating part about Navi, is like finding yourself in a position to build that momentum, start to move forward in the rounds, and just letting it slip.
Just when you think it's the light at the end of the tunnel, the oncoming traffic heads in your direction. But
30 seconds
can
left.
Ruxic do anything for us here? It's another Turkish player to take on the 1 versus 3. Make that a 1 versus 4, as Martin is still somehow alive.
Ruxic needs to go looking for a pick, and it needs to be clean, right? The unfortunate thing is that drone has identified exactly where he is, so he's not going to have much of a chance here.
Not at all. Ruxic looking for a head in the shop window, can't find it. Martin denying any opportunity for them to build that momentum, and it's something that's happened a couple of times now, which is, yeah, frustrating to look at. But in terms of what KC did well here, just reading the situation, this is just ridiculous from Martin, and so unfortunate from the spray at the same time.
That's it, and I think
Loop thinks he's me, he's not, bro.
There can only be one.
Yeah, still though, a bye to come back into this. All hope is not lost. It was just a bonus round, but you have to remember that. And it seems as if Navi want to hit this straight into A.
That was the chance to bring us within 1, but as you say, it's the age all going on. Dizzy in, players blinded in that AoE. So as it drops, Xiao's able to recover, and Navi gets so much space early round. Look at Ruxic walking up tube,
Timing.
close to the turret.
I mean, could call for a smoke to come and support him from Koala.
Still not spotted though. While he sits around in this position, KC will invest utility to try and clear. Hearing those steps, and backup is now arriving.
Yeah, so 1 versus 1. It's not even caught. At least the base is here to try and cut off any rotations. But that's massive from the Turkish controller. What does Navi do to respond to this though?
I mean, the ball is in Navi's court. They're just going to slow the pace all the way down, force KC to make an investment, try and trade out the space on the map. You can see Sadak is looking towards A. But as fate would have it, B is the site under threat, and there's only Elite here to deal with it.
That engagement isn't clean, but at least Kill has got something to work with. All 3 players though, all on their lonesome, and Ruxic once again coming in from mid.
Sitting in the snow pile, just looking to split this up. Martin removes him though, and now Navi are the ones with their backs to the wall.
Flashes have all the utility you could possibly want to come back into this one. Martin uses the ultimate to try and join up with his teammate, his leader Sadak, as he moves through B long. But Navi have moved forward. They've changed the goalposts, and now KC have got a really tough problem here. Martin trying to use a smoke to get on to Spike, but Navi are so aware of what's going on.
The kill from Hero as well there that just lends Navi the advantage, and as soon as they have note of those final few positions, playing off of each other really nicely. Performance is a word which we brought up quite a few times when referencing these teams, and I think it counts for Navi just as much as it does KC in terms of the extra coaching staff that they've relied upon to get them up to scratch, to bring them to previous M80 levels, if it's Koala, or all the rest just having the comfort of someone like Hero on this Killjoy or Cypher, of which he prefers to the Vice he was playing.
Sugetsu needs to be careful here.
The early stage.
He's heard the Gecko, but he doesn't know there's another.
He's solo. And Angel just knows it. I think he's seen that one too many times before. Martin does isolate the lurk, and with that, KC do go level in player numbers. There is a little bit more support on the B side of the map this time as well, though, and the plant is yet to go through.
Yeah, the delay coming through from Karmine Corp to get players into position to flood retake is absolutely massive. But remember, Sadak is only on a pistol.
And that Ghost can't do enough to deny, but the rest of KC played in. Aves and Elite from up top, dropping in the stun. Koala gets his though and gets out. 3 on 3, but the playing field is skewed in favor of Na'Vi. Martin up close, paranoia to the back of yellow, positioning is so constricted, and that's where KC have a vice grip. Can Angel do any better for us in the clutch? The salvos are up, and the time is ticking on down. Even more onto Elite, 6 points of health, 1 bullet would do it. They nearly line up, but it's Martin again, and with time on his side, he can take Karmine Corp up to 10.
Double digits reached, a big round for Karmine Corp to win out. Navi, when you think that they've found ourselves a way into the B site, a way to get within touching distance of their opponents, just goes the other way. And now, you start to look at the economy, you start to look at how the rest of this looks. Navi need to be careful, because if they lose this, it could be a massive swing round. The good thing for them is they have plenty of ultimates to use.
That's exactly it. 1 ult point on Angel's behalf away from a full house. So, that's how they choose to use it. Koala investing the ult back towards his own spawn, I believe, so just faking out the possibility of a flank. But KC have already cleared this. They're set up for the right site. Lockdown comes in. And they've got a combo util again to break it. That's brilliant.
Yeah, fantastic. And now Navi are left stumped, scratching their heads. How do we get into this site? Well,
There's another.
Gonna have to use the Thrash to do it. But at the same time, like, the utility and response from KC is perfect. So it's gonna come down to these gunfights.
And now Martin's on an aggressive line with the one-way smoke set up. You've got Aves here for contact. KC are perfectly in place, and Navi feel like they're out of options. Shower saving grace, though.
That's massive. Rooksik just hanging on the edge. Koala, though, gets 2 of his own! Martin out of nowhere! Still Navi 1 ahead, and Sugetsu nowhere near to bail Martin out. He could use his ultimate to escape, but wants to stick around.
30 seconds left.
Wants to look for his next duel, his next fight, and doesn't realise Rooksik was close. The Viper of Navi bailing out his team.
But it's Sugetsu again. It's Angel on the other side.
Spike planted.
Molly at his feet, but supported by Rooksik now, and this one should not be winnable, but Sugetsu's already done a boatload of damage. Cross-held solo by Hero, drops back.
He's the miracle maker, he's the man you want to depend upon here. And with the Viper's pit down, that's the biggest obstacle that he needs to try and get by.
He's looking elsewhere. Thinking about that next player, it's Hero. He's the one that can shut it down for Na'Vi and keep them within touching distance. Just 2 rounds now separating the teams.
Yeah, I was speaking about the economy, right, and how expensive this round would be for Na'Vi if they lost it, but they put everything towards the middle of the field. Only 1 ultimate was kept into the next round. That was Angel's, and that was only because it never came up.
It's crazy how in so many of these rounds it looks like KC are so well set up defensively, and then all of a sudden it completely falls apart. Glad that there was an extra couple seconds there for Rooksik.
Yeah, at the same time, it was expensive for KC. They're down to Sheriffs, and now that's where we expect Navi to start to get close to their opponents now. They're in that eco-cycle of defense. It makes it so much harder.
Absolutely. And this is just another opportunity to tighten up that scoreline a little bit more. You take a step back and look at the veto. In terms of these maps, you go on to Split, but I don't think last time out was a fair representation of what KC can do there. Last 3 series, they haven't banned it. It's been floated, and then Ascent. Last 3 series, that's been left open for Na'Vi.
Big 1v1, Martin forced out. The drone to follow up and make sure that there's no one else hiding.
that I'm making here, though, is that if Navi can go ahead and win this map, the series all of a sudden looks very different. But it's rounds like this that we've mentioned time and time again that just don't feel all too guaranteed for them. And look at the setup. KC have guessed correctly. 4 players on A, 30 seconds. Navi, can you get past this eco?
That's the question, right? Show's done well, so have Navi. It's starting to become a stampede of yellow and black, and they'll send it home. 1 is all there is between these two teams.
It's little rounds like that for me, which have your heart in your mouth, honestly.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I think Navi did a brilliant job. They kept it simple, used the utility. That's one of the margins that you can really exploit when you're playing against the low buy. And it's a confidence builder as well, because this is now a 1-round game. KC are coming up on some huge round-winning ultimates. But nice to see that vibes are being kept up by the duelist.
Toxins going up.
Have to keep an eye on the lockdown and an Armageddon on either side and how they're used. I imagine Angel will be thinking about how he counters Elite's ultimate. Still look towards him head. I was going to say that's a big duel, but that's even bigger. Koala finding Sugetsu and an open up in A. Sadak at the same time is trying to find a timing here.
He just needs to hold on to this space towards screens. You've got so many strong ults to combine and cut back through. Absolutely no reason to overplay your hand, and he's done a brilliant job at just managing this space, which KC now backfill.
Yeah. Also, KC know about the late luck coming through kitchen from Ruxic. Oh, deals with Elite. This is now an even bigger problem from the French side.
No, it's Xiao in the corner, though. 2 kills picked up from him. Martin forced to just bail from the situation as Navi have found a way to tie this back up. It was a brilliant round. KC came in with all of the tools and looked like they were happy to concede the A space. But then when push comes to shove, there was just nothing there.
It's the fact that they had the ultimates to come back in, right? And just didn't opt to use any of them. Oh, that's a big kill.
It is.
Because KC are now... They have no cash. It's another eco round. Sure, we're starting to head into the end of this half, but this map, I don't think you should feel too desperate in using your ultimates. And I think this is a good time out for Ing to try and refocus the French side.
Exactly, and it's another test of depth in terms of the strat book, what they want to pull out on the defender's side. It feels like, you know, at times on Icebox, it is a little bit reactive. You can't exactly invest and go aggro like you would be able to on other maps, not without decent protocols in place. But to go back to the prior round as well, and something we'd already been talking about a bit, I'm really impressed with how Koala is starting to gel into this Navi side and what his, you know, that component looks like, not just in terms of the duelist, but then also vocally as well. Because if you go back and look at Navi's recent history and the former versions of this roster we've seen, it's completely different to a CNED or an Ardis. And I think we were even hearing Angel talk before about how he, you know, apologized to Koala, so reduced some of the mid-round calls that he was giving, helped win them really key rounds when they needed it in that Vitality series. So as everything is starting to mesh together, the question is, can they take it over the line on Icebox?
Something that I would also thought from yesterday was just the amount of times that we never saw Navi actually go and take control of a series. Well, as for Outlaws, 84% of the time getting a kill. Ruxic has one right here. Sugetsu needs to be careful though.
Yeah, he's already missed one bullet. This is a KC eco, but I feel like when we fly stats like that, you just know
Yeah.
that there could be trouble. I mean, every single player on the defender's side is within striking distance of this.
Of course. At the same time though,
Oh, there you go.
that's the sheriff Sugetsu. But you've also got to be careful of Martin's hero rifle. This eco round could really go out of control if Navi can't get a grasp on it.
This is also where KC want to play, up close and personal. Rifle of Martin.
Oh no.
Should have been doing more. That would have given KC a huge opportunity. But Navi are the ones that strip it back instead. None of those ults with any view to be used. Not the same way that Navi had thrown them at some of their ecos. KC building towards something bigger in the next, but while all this is happening, I mean, look, you've got 2 more to build towards here on Angel and Hero.
Yeah.
Interested to see if they're the ones given the kill here.
I mean, that's even if they get the chance, right? Because Elite could easily just go and duel. Instead, no. Calls it quits. Would rather keep that rifle into the next round as cash is pretty tight here. He'll go to 11, Navi. Starting to get towards the crunch time in this map.
Yeah. I like the outlaw buy, but you know, it's always going to be one of those rounds where something crazy could happen. It was a decent start from KC, but even with players in place, not quite doing enough. Has he got a Sadok fan in the audience? Very nice. Obrigado. Anyway, Navi now with a lead. Can KC rely on their captain yet again to bail them out of a bad situation? Something has to change. This defense now losing 4 rounds in a row. It just doesn't look like there's any silver linings.
Frustration. Ultimates to be used. It's Navi who pulled the trigger first on it. Same entry that we saw from Martin in the last half. It's Koala to do it this time, but they've not accounted for Sadai. Navi get the trades though. Still worried about Kitchen and a player potentially being deposited there. That was Hero, and he's gone.
Sugetsu yet to make his move back site. This is huge, and the spike is still not down.
Chance to deny that. Molly doing well. I mean, at the same time, trying to stall out using the Thrash, but the Viper's Pit has bought a little space in which to work with. Even the lockdown will buy more. Angel trying to reposition towards Snowman, decides against it.
I think from this position, you can still sit outside the ult and spam if you're KC. It doesn't really commit too much space. And yeah, Angel is still sitting pretty here.
It's just defusing.
They're now gone, but Martin's going to stick it all the way through. Oh, that's such a frustrating way to lose the round. And Martin very nearly cleans the slate entirely. 24 kills now for him. And we will be going to the very limits of regulation as it's a Red Bull clutch to give KC 11.
Yeah, it is. And also, it's a Navi timeout to try and push themselves over the line. I can understand why you would pull off the angle after the spam,
Dimo,
right?
what do you think?
I was blind.
A little bit of communication, maybe. But at the same time, the point I was making is like you pull off the angle because you get a pick, not realising it's not the diffuser. But I feel as if Navi just not paying attention to the smaller details.
Yeah, and in rounds like that too, where you could take number 12, get map point on your opponent's pick in this elimination series in the playoff bracket, which I think it's important to remind again that KC have historically struggled with. Sure, the DNA of this team is not the same as what we've seen in years gone by. All of those changes made with the look in towards international events at the end of the year. But it does still feel like a deep run is required in this first stage if you are to reach your target at the end of the gauntlet. In this round, I mean, look, we saw big ults invested and they do just about get the return. It's that null command, the only one in play. Still Navi not too far off some of their own.
Couple of pings from KC towards the A side, maybe a little bit more aggressive from the defense. Martin's the only one really backing that up.
Martin has been unrelenting in his aggression, and I think at times Navi have struggled to contain it. You can see 2 players sat underneath Bell outside of A right now, as the rest of the pack is just cleaning up on B long and keeping the attention of KC, holding it. That drone is forced to re-clear it through Aves.
Get all the information that they need, so it should be easy to start to lean heavier on the A side, where Navi begin to make inroads.
And to that extent, KC are not fully sold on this situation. The knife goes into mid, that's a little bit of extra info, and now Sadok seems to have the right idea about it. 3rd player over on A, a 4th shortly arriving, as the rest of Navi will be. They've got utility to open this up, but that's very quickly removed with the ult.
Forfeiting the site to play from the outside. It's Elite that actually gets the kill, not Martinez. He tried to play aggressive. This null command is denying all the utility that Navi would want, and the rifle's denying the players that they would want. 2 to the good now. But Navi still trying to play slow, and as they do, they just get completely cut down. Spike goes cold, does the round. Hero has to clutch up here to even be within a chance, and with 10 seconds left, you would think it's going to be KC to reach 12 first.
And that's one of those rounds which does still feel repeatable for KC. Perhaps not the ultimate, but at the very least the read. It's a number of times now where we've seen them get into position but fail to execute from that game plan. So this does feel very gratifying from their perspective to win the duels. Hero keeps it close, but still too far out of his wheelhouse.
Relax, guys. Everyone relax, please, okay?
My job.
And I think that's the big thing, talking about emotions, relaxing here. That's what Sue was asking Sadak. How easy is it to control the emotions of your team?
KC would have won the mid-round last time out. They do it again here. In terms of info, it's the first 20 seconds already lost to the clock.
I like that molly lineup to try and get rid of the turret. It's gone. That mid control now lost for KC. A big question mark, but Sadak has the cross at least to make sure no one walks through. Just doesn't know about kitchen though.
Navi are yet to really involve themselves here. They're still with this 2-player pairing, both of the lurks.
Still in a one bot.
Ruxic and Hero starting to show themselves in Sui's direction. It's backed all the way up. Still playing from yellow, but 2 players dragged over, and now A is open for the taking. Navi are still not fully committed to this. They are spread thin, and you've got 30 seconds or so left to play with.
Yeah, everyone from KC is almost here, right? Apart from 2 towards that B side. It's Topsy, Turvey. No, they're going to use the Armageddon to clear that back space if you're Navi.
But there's such a small lane to actually play into, so that fragment's already done a lot, and KC are ready for retake.
Yeah, they're so ready. The utility straight back in, but that lockdown will buy a little bit of delay for the attack.
It's absolute chaos as utility goes traded. So quickly keeping tabs, Navi have little left for themselves. Angel Salvos is about as good as it gets. There's still flashes and stuns on KC's side to come back through.
Shao finding himself another pocket in which to work, and Navi supporting him in his endeavours. 2 players left, make that just a 1. It's up to the captain, the leader of KC, or it will be overtime. And I think there's a nice little ribbon put on this by Navi. We are heading all the way.
Oh, I mean, KC had players in position. It was a tug of war, and that rope was splitting at the seams. I think, you know, it's the perfect demonstration of how much the synergy between the players on both sides has evolved as we've moved from that very first opening fixture of kickoff up until now, the elimination game in stage 1. Util sent both ways, Navi not left with all too much, but Shao's positioning late is what wins it for them.
But that's not the first time he's done that.
No.
Found himself a little pocket, the smokes to support that, and KC just swing it dry. They had already used a little bit of utility trying to come in early. The lockdown denied that.
So on to the attack, KC go. An 8-4 half from them to kick things off, but Navi respond in kind. A little bit of pressure put on early towards this right-hand side. Spike posturing in the direction. It's classic Karmine Corp. You're expecting them to go quiet and then re-hit in the latter stages of the round. But the question being, how much information can Navi collect in the meantime?
Poison's off.
Oh my god, the swing out from Ruxic. Shred of a Vez. At the same time though, Navi have cleared through mid. They've deposited a turret just to make sure no one else comes later. And they can focus completely on this side.
They're blind going in, but Immediate suppression there to just stop this retake in its tracks. Tap of the plant from Sadak, waiting for the reply, and here it comes.
Players back in, Martin, KC, one player to the good, still Spike knocked down, but don't necessarily need it. Winning out the deathmatch here, and then all command denies Hero his utility, so he has to depend upon his rifle, in which he has been hitting his shots and continues to do so. A similar position in which from before, KC, Sadak, he's low.
Hero's heard the drop in as well, and Sadak, as you say, on death's door, needs Sugetsu to trade off of him.
Has one flash in which he could set his Viper up, but instead finds the timing.
No way.
1 versus 1, but that flash is what puts KC ahead in overtime. And now Navi needs to defend this overtime.
The Sadak self-flash as the skipper has sent them onto another map point. I mean, in terms of the opening engagement, it was good. KC doing enough to dissuade that quick flood. And Sadak really turning it on when needed, even getting the null command there to just...
It's okay, I carry you in overtime, guys. Papa, online.
He was saying earlier that he had the youngsters now to just put him in the backpack, but he's the one in these big moments, these killer moments, that is showing up and showing out for KC as they go into a timeout and look towards him and the coach slot for answers.
Well, that's it, right? This is the last time that KC, the last time out that KC will have. From here on forward, they just have to hope that they get the reads right, the plays right. Want to finish it early. Navi will still have one timeout in overtime. That's the other thing to consider. That would be the other time that Eng and Zeiss get to come back into this one. With that being said, we're ready to send this one back in for another round.
Yeah, and looking at Navi's attack here as well, it did look really strong towards the end, but my concerns still lie with how some of them felt a little bit readable, that you were reliant on moments from players like Hero, who now sits at the top of the sheet for Navi. The scorecard, 21 kills to his name. It might even just be a pace change here. I'm seeing 4 players at the B barrier, and with that smoke going in early, they look to scale up behind it.
Sugetsu doubting himself from pushing forward into the smoke like last time. That was easily countered by Angel. This pace extremely slow, waiting for that execute to happen, and KC have read into this.
It's a completely rehearsed execution. The mosh pit landing backside, but Sugetsu following it up from close. Koala with a quick trade, but Sadak still alive. Looking to carry the rest of his team through OT, but it's Aves that finds the next kill. And one by one, Navi drop. The spike is on the other side of the screen. Koala up top, but Aves knows it and nails the shot. Such a big kill.
And how do you even get this spike back? It's really difficult, but that timing's insane.
Individual play from Ruxic, more coming up. A lead there, and now Hero once more. Can he find a way to do it yet again? The 19-year-old falls. It's Elite to best him. 14-12, and in overtime, KC have Icebox.
They do have Icebox, it's their own pick as well. So the next one, off split, we look towards Navi to bounce back. But
I want a new career.
F1 driver, Jedi, musician. Wibbs got Boo. This is my kind of office party.
I want an epic adventure.
Have you heard of the Great Circle?
What?
We got you.
I'm traveling the world?
Hold on to your hat. Who's next?
I want to play with all the League of Legends champions.
Riot benefits. Say less. We got you.
I'm not the ones in the game.
You're in the game now. Get all this and more with PC Game Pass. You know what I'm gonna say. Yeah, we got you.
I know that music.
Guys, you gotta see this. One of 5 immersive worlds in Epic Universe, only at Universal Orlando Resort.
You done it?
Yeah. Coming to you guys.
Nice.
Bro, Koala thinks he's me. He's not, bro.
What an exciting way to kick off the lower bracket here at playoffs in VCT EMEA. I'm your host, Yingsu, and I'm back here with Mini and Hypok once again. This matchup, very interesting one. Head-to-head on Omen, on Icebox. You don't see it very often, but do you guys agree with Martin there? You know, Koala didn't do his best Martin cosplay?
I mean, I think Martin is the best Omen Icebox player we have in EMEA, so I would agree with him, but Koala wasn't bad, but I think Martin was just different gravy.
Yeah, I don't think this was heavily one-sided, but I think I mean, you look at the first half, and well, even just kicking off with the pistol round, how active Martin was, particularly towards mid, which seems to be something that KC have built a game plan around on Icebox. And even in the rounds where, you know, they weren't there, it was Sugetsu to kind of pick up that slack. So, yeah, for me, Martin takes the head.
Yeah, I know it was a long time ago, but those early rounds, the momentum that Martin gave them with the pistol round, and then the bonus round too, it was just those nice TP plays in, and you know, it's not easy to TP in an Omen and pretend to be a duelist, so fair play to Martin.
Yeah, and the 35 clutches also helped, I think. He was always diffusing, always the last one there on that clutch. The stats are doing...
Well, maybe it's one more one-sided than that.
I think it's doing Koala a little bit dirty, because he did win some huge rounds to take them to OT in the end.
Yeah, but Martin had 270 ACS, so I'm gonna have to...
Yeah, it was certainly, it felt a little more flashy from Martin, which is, I guess, no surprise.
Yeah, I think Koala to me is the op agent player, and when their defense was so lackluster, it's going to be hard to get that economy rolling to do what Koala does best, which is ult.
Yeah, I asked you guys this while we were watching the game, but this is the best opera in EMEA.
Oh, yeah, I don't actually think there's much of a discussion with it. We were saying as well, there's not many other crutches right now, but Koala consistently picking it up and looking pretty deadly.
Yeah, when you said it, I was a bit surprised, but then thinking through it logically, I agree. I think he's the best.
Are they relying on it a little bit too much, do you think? Because when he doesn't have the op, it does look a little bit more shaky.
I don't know how you don't rely, like if they're good with it,
But
then
you
it's
know,
not-
you know what I
know
mean? But you want to have more than one thing that you can rely on. What are the
I
other
agree,
things?
yeah, absolutely. But if they're not so good at the other thing, then they just have to lean into it. It's unfortunately
Yeah,
I
I think bigger picture-wise, we're probably unearthing some other issues within the Navi camp. But yeah, I mean, if they've got the opportunity to, I think they should be tapping into it whenever they can.
Well, I tell you what, though, Sui is going to be very happy about taking on map 1, you know. Last time they played against each other, Sui, a little bit emotional, you know. Some gestures on stage, which I am all for. But he also has some very, very big rounds. You guys mentioned the early couple of rounds we saw from KC right out the gate. He was in the middle of all of that.
Yeah, he was. And I think as well, whenever you see Sugetsu even being vocal about anything, you know that it's kind of, there's a little fuel to the fire, right? So it's good to see him come online here at map 1, particularly with this matchup. Again, it's a player that across stage 1, I think we've been asking more of, or wanting to see more of, because he's one of those players that kind of can stand on his own 2 feet. It's, you know, we always see him in these individual scenarios delivering. We haven't seen much of that.
Yeah, I think on the attack side, I think it's a very good VOD for any Viper lurker to watch. He had the experience to know when to go for those lurks and when not to, and when to group up. He didn't have like, you know, a Martin level performance, but the maturity was there. His decision making was good.
Team game, you know, team game. But let's talk about the next map, because if Navi do not win on Split, their season will be over. They will be missing out on the second Masters of the year. And after the group stage they've had, you know, taking down Vitality along the way, this will be a bit of a shock, right, Hypoc, for them to go out this early?
I wouldn't say shock.
First team to be eliminated.
But, well, cool. That's a scheduling issue. But, yeah, I don't see it as. It wouldn't be a big shock, to be honest. I think.
Really?
I think honestly, coming in today, it would have been a bigger shock to see Navi come out and comfortably, you know, clear KC in the opening elimination game. I think to come back to the veto, this is where it kind of feels like we might actually see map 3. I mean, we talk about the dreaded week 5 KC loss to Liquid, but again, how much stock do we really take from the loss to Liquid? But
depends who you ask.
Yeah, well, yeah, but reps-wise, I mean, Navi coming in for me, tongue-in-cheek here, but I'm saying favourites for map 2, to be honest with you.
I agree. I think that maybe I should have hit it more before the game. That I think it is a clear favourite KC Icebox, and then you know, Navi did a good job to get it that close, and I think this one's a clear favourite for Navi. You know, 13-0ing a team isn't the easiest thing to do in the world.
No, regardless of who, yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we've seen them on Split, though, you know, since that 13-0. But I guess I asked you this question about Icebox with KC, so I'm just going to throw it back. Not like that. Throw it back in terms of the question. What makes Navi so strong on Split?
Their awkward defense is a problem for teams that don't have a good read on it. They have the double smokes and the Vice, and it's not a very common composition on that. So that it's a very defense-sided comp if you don't know how to play around it. I think Fnatic did a great job of understanding the weaknesses of the comp, whereas the other teams didn't. So it's down to KC, I think, whether they've done that homework coming in, expecting it.
Yeah, I think this one leans heavily in the prep region for KC. Again, I think coming into playoffs, it's that's something we top of show today. We said is almost a benefit for KC to come in, have the ability to obviously watch an extra game, but also really look at likely scenarios, who we're going to be playing game 1 coming out. I think this is probably the matchup you would feel KC are going to be anticipating, so they should come in here. If it's available in the veto and we're going to see it, then actually let's scrap the Liquid performance, erase that from our memories, and actually come in today with something that feels like you can have a set game plan to approach.
Yeah, and I just want to gas up Hero a little bit, because the one, I guess, shining star of Navi so far.
The diamond in the rough.
Yeah, the one player that's just been consistent in every situation, no matter what, as of late, has been Hero. And in that 13-0, he got 22 kills in 13 rounds.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was the reason they managed a 13-0 GS.
Yes, I was talking about Sagetsu's looks, but Hero, to me, like, even when I coached him, he has a very good understanding of the timings and, like, when to do it. And I think Split is a perfect map, especially on that
Why'd
attack.
you kick him,
Yeah.
I didn't. I wasn't in the team. I left.
No, you were there. After champs. You were there.
Bro, you keep throwing me under the bus for these changes. I left the team and they made their changes.
Would you have kept Hero if you stayed on Fnatic?
Honestly,
yeah.
I don't think so. No.
Oh, why not?
Why not? He's so good.
His lurking, his lurking is very good. I said his lurking is very good. I think there's other aspects in his game that would need to be well rounded out. I think in the context of Navi, he's clearly their best player right now. I think that he's phenomenal for this team. My standards for the game are to go to internationals and win, so it's a little bit.
You'd make a great politician. That's all I'll say.
I don't think so. I think he'd be making rubbish.
With an answer like that,
I didn't even grill him.
Well,
I barely grilled him.
I could have just said I would have kept him. That would have been the politician.
Would have been the safe bet, right?
Yeah. That would be more politician-esque, just a lie. You know, I feel like that would have been better. Who I do want to see come online a little bit, because as you said, Hero being their best player right now, is Shao. When have we ever seen a Navi where Shao is not the best player? This has to be the first year.
Stage one.
But that's what I mean. That's how weird is that sentence?
Yeah, it is. But again, I think it comes back to a similar point we were making earlier as well, where there seems to be a little lack of direction or unified direction, because it feels like some rounds you watch and Angel and Shao are playing for Navi 2 years ago, and then you've got 3 other people in the lobby that are kind of like, okay, well, we want to do. I was saying during that, actually, looking back at stage 1, thank God Navi have Koala, because it would literally be like a funeral in comms some rounds, and we're just not seeing what feels like a cohesive team working towards the same objective, be it game plan, be it round by round. It just feels a little weird, and I think actually Shao falls victim to that, to be honest.
It's also I know we kind of bang on about it, but the role change for Shao has never looked as
convincing.
Good. And it's like, at this point, I'm asking myself, is this to do with the fact he's not playing, quote, the Sova role?
Yeah.
Or is it just, time has passed a little bit and Shao isn't the player that we once thought?
Well, let's take a look at Agent Select and see what Shao's going to go with here. I mean, no changes on the side of Navi. Why would they? They look so good.
Yeah, exactly. I think that Navi changing here would be a very big surprise. On the KC side, changing up to the double duelist.
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Martin and Avaz. Avaz has played Raze on a couple of maps for KC, or at least the Ascent, I believe.
He has,
so I quite like this change from KC.
Well, yeah, I do like this as well. And actually, when you talk about the switch up as well to kind of overcome Hero on the Vice, actually you have 2 great gap closers, and the double duelist, we already know, we've talked about it on Split, how much success you can find.
Yeah, and there's also the comp, I believe, that Fnatic played against Navi. So if they've taken some of Fnatic's game plan there, it should be a pretty good map for them.
Typical Mini, always wants to make it about Fnatic. Let's send it back to your casters and see if Navi can take us to a map 3.
It's a map 3 that we've been waiting for so many times, floated in the veto, but all focus on Split right now. That perfect map from them before, first 13-0 of the EMEA partnership era, a 3-year wait since 2022, finally ticked off on. With a flawless defensive half though, they start on the attack here, something which KC can't go back and look at and, pick too much away from.
Yeah, I think the desk got it spot on in terms of this is a clear Navi favourite moving in towards this. Obviously, you can't take much away from the Team Liquid game, so I'm excited to see what improvements KC have made since that rescheduled match and what they have to bring forward here, right?
Absolutely. The question is, what does that prep look like? This new version of KC. Very low win rate for Navi on their own map picks, but they're going to need one of them here. Start off, it's 5 players outside of A as Sadak, the sole guardian of this site.
Yeah, not finding much from that. KC holding on towards mid, and with all that utility, Sadak is trying to stick around here. Something in which to work with. The Haunt doesn't get much in terms of information, but Navi have at least got a very open plan.
Yeah, it's sort of off towards the screen side, and so that's where they're going to go. Navi funneling players towards the defensive half. They've traded places because it's ramp that's re-cleared.
As Hero in the pocket, Shao. He found one, but that's all it's going to be. As KC now start to get things underway. On towards the A site you look. You've got to think about Elite deposited towards Heaven to just catch out a late lock, but Navi are stopping KC, and there's tracks! And we'll find that pistol round.
Another attacking pistol round won by Navi. Now looking back, If my math serves me correctly, that's 4 out of 4 for the last attacking pistol rounds that they've played. And on this map, great way to start it because, as we mentioned previously, they only needed to win that last time. It was a mid-push they went for, 5 players strong. Similar thing here, but it's A. And I love the plant spot. I love the awareness to be looking for Elite in heaven there too.
Yeah, and I think for me, Navi bring out that iconic buy. Once again, 3 rifles there in which to work with. Remember, KC can find a way to try and find a couple of those rifles and pick them up and work with it. There's 4 players sitting, 5 players in elbow.
Like badgers in a hole. RV Pest Control looking elsewhere. Oh, or are they?
Don't think so, mate. I think this is going to be beat.
And you could only hope. You could only hope. There is a world where they walk into that, but still, Navi, on a lot of these rounds, and as we said before, building towards that bonus, it's about keeping things clean. They have struggled massively from these positions so far. It has been a real dampener on what otherwise we're talking about a team which can have an upswing in form. You know, it was the 13-0 on this map against GX, which made you think, oh, okay, Navi are really back from decider to decider.
Yeah.
Against Apex, that series, you go into the Heretics game though, and it's a quick reset. Back to Vitality, BBL, reset again.
I feel as if though, for me, when I think about Navi, we're always waiting for what was promised, right? A team that should be reaching international events, have veterans that have done it many times before, but I always feel disappointed, right, in terms of what the heights that they actually reach. It's always one step too far for them.
And look, this elimination game important to just show that they can endure those trials and tribulations as KC have moved that train of players into the corner. Against the Pistols, they are going to win a couple of fights back. But you look at Navi's current buy, those purchases which they will be able to keep as all of KC go down. It's 3 rifles retained into the bonus.
And this is where we look at Navi, right? Because this is a few times now on the bonus round where they've come in with a fantastic buy, but they've never been able to back up the promise of that, right? Something similar to what we're talking about with the actual org in the team. They need to be able to try and pose real problems, do real damage. They weren't able to do it yesterday, not necessarily in the first map. Can they do it here on map number 2?
Split their selection, starting on the attack, but it's KC that want to make the first move of this rifle round. Navi anticipating it, crossfire placed, Martin in play, TP available, but opts to go against it. It's Elite at his back, which fires 2 shots off, finds 2 kills. Navi down to their last couple players.
Yeah, and the sound cue from the announcer showing that the spike is down in shops. The last 2 on Navi, Angel and Ruxic, to try and fight back into this. Ruxic in towards the backlines. Angel has to try and come from sewers and has utility to clear players in the spots that they're in.
Without help in this position though, the in-game leader. It's a slow trickle of util out from the belt, but that is a tether. Aves has been spotted on the other side of the wall, but what do you do with this? It's nothing, it's just a distraction.
Yeah, he's baiting for Ruxic to come in to spot, although Sadak has identified what they were looking for, and now Angel left all on his own.
This is a round which has very quickly crumbled. Like sand, it falls through the hands of Navi. Nice mid-jaw from KC. They read the situation so well, just felt like they had their finger on the pulse in terms of what to expect from Navi in that round. And so that's how they get on the board.
I would love to know if we could get a statistic on the amount of rounds that we see Navi come in with a full buy and end up losing out. As for this though, they move in towards the rifle round in the next. KC with a brilliant read. And it looks as if they're read into this one too. There's 3 players on the A side for the defense, and Navi have all 5 ready to hit it.
First of those players is Martin again, but he goes down at the hands of Koala.
That neat.
It's going to drop in for damage, but nothing more. Satchel away. Sustain on the Navi side, and it looks like they just want to dive straight in to this push as well. Aves to receive them. The wall is a little too tight for him to play around.
And KC have done brilliantly to stall out Navi. I mean, they're trying to look towards heaven now, but I mean, the defense happy to give this up.
Spam back through, but as soon as this wall drops, the timing is everything. Nearly caught with a Prowler there. Sadak, and he falls flat. Elite by his side. Sugetsu trying to creep up behind his former team, but it's the wall there, which I'm not quite sure if it got trapped or not. I didn't quite catch that.
No, it's still up.
Yeah, he's not even gone for it.
I mean, has the TP if he really wanted to go by it, but is worried about players maybe coming through vents and repositions towards shops.
And so Hero's job here is to just clear out all of that space and make sure there isn't an oncoming flank, that the rest of Navi can group up with some comfort and take the A site.
I mean, Navi don't really have money to go hunting either for these last two remaining rifles on KC, and I think the defense will be happy to try and save them out and have something to work with in the next round.
My ult's ready.
I mean, on top of that, you get Koala's Showstopper up as well. Maybe just looking for a couple of exits here from Sui in the attacker spawn.
So round number 4 ends with a gentleman's agreement that Navi will remain in front. Sui just hunting for some exits, but it's Hero who has done his job and stood the test. Back on this Vice, which, you know, at times we say it's a Sentinel, but plays much like an Initiator in the way that you have to be very acute with your utility usage. That Arc Rose is fantastic for mid-rounding. And, you know, you look back at Hero's history on former teams, I remember all the way back in the Wild days, right, where they were running an Ascent comp when he was on the Phoenix. Look, let me cook. On the duelist with flashes, because, you know, KO was not something that he felt comfortable with in his agent pool, right? In terms of how you look to try and be very specific with where that utility is invested. But I have to say, I'm very impressed, as we get to the point, with how he's been playing and gravitating towards, the same role, but a very different agent.
Yeah, that was really nice. The replay ops were able to highlight the smokes as they were forming, was what gave the attack the notification of where players are. Remember that Showstopper available for Koala, and KC have a buy here. If they lose this, it could be all upset. And they have made their inroads in mid once again.
This is such a strong position for Martin because he can immediately send himself over towards the A site.
Ping's going out on the A side from the Navi at the attack.
And that's the question, you know, does he commit to this TP in the final few seconds of the timer? And the answer is no. KC remain with their double-layered setup towards middle, and that's where A now comes under threat. Aves on the off angle.
We've seen the fast trigger discipline, works well, but it is only one, and it's Hero the Sentinel that's gone. Chance to maybe try and go for a flank here as Koala gains space in towards screens.
That first player gone. Navi have the man advantage, but they don't have the space. I mean, you do still have Angel coming late ramp with this open plant, but there's no tower player.
Yeah, KC are quick onto the site to try and take the fight. Shao denies that. Hello. Oh, it's going a little bit topsy-turvy, but still Navi come out on top. And that's a really big round to win for the attack, because they're gonna break the defense by.
So Navi had the open plant, they had Angel in main, and then I think it was it Ruxic who TP'd up onto the platform, and we're in smokes as players are walking back through. I would love to see that from another POV. But Jules won as far as Navi are concerned, and it has pushed KC onto an eco here as well.
Yeah, and well, you look at Sugetsu to be the only one with a rifle trying to spam in B main, where there was plenty of bodies to hit, and unfortunately, not a point of damage felt by Navi.
Set up with this very deep wall, of which I know Mitch is a massive fan. As they group up through market. Just starting to investigate mid now late on. KC have put player numbers here multiple times. This is one of the first where they show us a more passive style.
Yeah, and at the same time, Martin's getting a load of information just sitting in A main. Doesn't have anyone to fill that space in heaven, though. That's the only thing to worry about for KC. Martin, though, with a chance to maybe take that main space if it did come through mid, but instead, this is looking like a B split.
KC know it. They can feel that something's in the water. From tower, Koala goes, supported by the long TP backside, making the cross, connecting with it, and the transfer as well is there. Angel by his side, this is comfortable for Navi. KC, again, just feel like they have players in the right position, but in this round it's the guns and it's Shao that shuts it all down.
That Cosmic Divide now up. You're wanting Angel to try and get a pick or at least get caught out, and he is going to get that. So the Nightfall is well being kept for the next round. An in-zone flawless and well played by Navi.
And looking at the players here as well, that's 4 out of 5 that didn't break their heavy shields, so still have all of their armor, don't need to pay for a single upgrade, and that's absolutely huge in terms of bolstering this economy.
Angel taking it by himself, bro.
Speaking in the third person, and Navi playing like they're sat in the audience right now, I think, in terms of how they've approached a lot of these rounds. Even if it has been the site where KC is set up, it just does feel like they're winning the duels convincingly. We haven't seen all too much to get excited about from the defense so far, but that's where the ults start to come up, and this timeout has that much more importance placed on it.
In terms of what KC have been doing though on the defense, like, how do you change that up? What do you do differently? It feels as if, like, when it comes to some of these retakes, Navi are so well prepared in what they need to do to stop Karmine Corp coming back in.
Also, you know, just even the mid info as well, like many times you'll see a round of split be decided on who has control of that area of the map. I find it all the more intriguing that neither of these teams are running the Breach or the Teho, right? The premium refreshable utility that you have, those signatures to take that space. So an opportunity to try and exploit, and well, there you go. It's another 1,000 kill landmark hit, and it's Angel that has gotten himself there. Round of applause.
Finally, the big man gets there, and Navi looks as if they're going to be able to get this A site for pretty much free as they set Koala now up. Sadak, though, trying to find a little spot in which he can try and keep himself alive. Koala catches a Vez, and there's more players there to fight.
It's just Sadak looking like him from elbow, crunch in from the vent position. But Navi just know all too well.
Spike planted.
Spike comes down. Elite into the retake, gets his first 1v1 and takes Angel out of play.
But that Viper pit is still up, so if Navi lose control of the Spike, could get a little bit worrying. You still have the Astra util up, 4 stars on show.
And all the extra utility, but Elite wants in. What a statement this is. Viper's pit dropped, still not spotted. Had the molly out, was thinking about it. Gravity well, the expected response, still no stun, still no challenge. Navi should be looking to take this on one player at a time, just means that they can buy themselves the clock as much as possible. That's how you've got to manage the situation. Navi doing a great job, and while there isn't a player left to tell the tale, that is round number 6, and some serious security about this attack side now.
Yeah, they've done really well to get the advantage that they've got. Not only that, this round, I don't know what happens. A bit of chaos, and I was worried for Navi moving towards heaven, but Shao does well to get rid of that. Now for the next one, we're back to another swing round. KC, well, if they lose this, back to an eco room. They've got the showstopper to use, though.
Just feels like such a telegraphed play though, Cairo. So KC wait a moment before they pull the trigger, and it will go off with a bang. Avis has 2, but he might need more. Gets his 3rd, can't get out. Ruxic with 2 bullets in the Outlaw finds 2 kills. And control of the Spike back on the Navi side.
Do well to get the even trades. The Angel now coming to support Ruxic in his endeavours.
KC playing the mid-round nicely though. They've regrouped both players. They're now starting to walk back down mid and have a look in. Hero's wall is missing from sewers, and with this information, they know there is the possibility to commit to making this a double flank. For Navi, you're wondering how much extra real estate they're willing to take in this situation.
It's not only that, though, there's plenty of time to play with if you're on the attack, and the timing here is absolutely insane.
Yeah, Navi are taking a lot of it to get onto the site. They don't have enough to play around with.
They've not thought about this at all.
Absolutely. And it's Elite and Sugetsu right behind as the spike looks to drop in. It's the player instead. Angel another up against Elite. First bit of damage goes his way.
Still has utility.
The captain to clutch it. And then around he goes to the corner. The spike plant tapped, but Elite finding the shots and putting KC back on the map.
I mean, at the same time though, Navi don't think about this flank whatsoever. The fight in A main is good from either side, even trades, but with how long they took, surely you think to the back of your head, this could be where the players come from.
Brilliant individual moments from both Ruxic and Aves on either side of the server. Each in their rookie year, but proving indispensable to their sides.
KC aren't out the woods yet with their economy either. Martin, players to fight, targets to hit, and he's doing so. Oh. He's got two, and he's out.
I mean, that's just ridiculous. And then right behind it, you've got Elite with the molly and the smoke, so no chance Navi to get back in here anytime soon. The Prowler will clear a player 10 paces back, but Elite remains ahead of the curve, and that's where Angel will fail to clear him. It was a 5 versus 2, but Hero gets one back in the conversation. Again, though, these players are so split up from one another, and you're asking for heroics again to win a round for Navi.
I mean, these are the players to do it, though. 2 to fight Ruxic. Nearly gets a second.
It's just the one that he settles for, though. It looks to have paved the way for Hero on the A site. Haunt drops into Heaven. KC should really be expecting this second player, though, and you can start to see the movements on the map suggesting it as well.
Hero's trying to look for something to work with.
You have to be in these situations. Does have both Thorns, Arc Rose, and ult if it gets to it. It's another situation, a clutch of which he is so capable. But will he be up to the task here to confirm that advantage on this attack half?
It would be a big round if he could do it. He's had highlight moments before. We think towards the GX game where it took him a long, long time to have his first death. To come up in a 1 versus 3 here, you've also got to consider Sadak has the Nightfall, which he will use, so Hero loses a lot of health. Decade, and decides to go for an ultimate of his own. He fancies this as the players send it their way. The reaction's unreal!
Oh my God.
Hero! He had no sight, but he doesn't even need it! A Red Bull clutch to send Navi into an advantage in the second half!
That's absolutely disgusting from Hero, and he knows it. 7th secured. And it's a situation where you feel like KC have to take the time out. Actually, it's Navi that call it. Maybe for composure more than anything else, but we chalked the situation up to be exactly what it was. One that Hero was capable of winning. So many multi-frags on that standout display that we saw against GX that you mentioned there.
And I think as well though, you say like maybe for composure, but there is still a lot of mistakes that Navi are making within the actual round itself. It was heroics that won them that, and sure it breaks KC's bye, but this is what I imagine we're seeing from the coaching staff to come in and talk about, and just like make sure we're not putting paper over cracks.
Completely agree with what you're saying. You don't want to wash away that blood without sealing the wound. And Navi certainly coming into this game with a few, well, plenty of things to consider coming out of the BBL match, right? The story as it was, they won all 4 pistol rounds. It was in the rifle rounds where they struggled. Moments like this make all the difference, and just looking back at it, I mean, there was no sound, so for Aves just trying to get the element of surprise, oh my lord. Zeiss just reminding us that he has had a trim as the hat comes flying off the head.
That is insane.
But that is a Red Bull clutch for the books, and now looking at the hefty bill that KC have been forced to foot here.
I have the spike.
It's just pistols. A Bucky, a Guardian.
I mean, that's what you're looking towards, right?
Choice weaponry.
Martin has been the enigma many a time on Karmine Corp. I mean, Sadak was talking about it. We need to know when to use the X factor, and well, in this position, they certainly need it as they go to take these fights in mid.
Last time it was 2 kills for Martin and a TP out, but on a round such as this, you're happy to get away with the goods. Anything that can just snowball the late round into something a bit more winnable, and he's even going to invest the ultimate.
Gets a rifle back in his hands though because he's using that dimensional drift.
Yeah, and the pass is the one that he had over to Sugetsu. So with every passing second, this defense continues to get stronger, and that's the story of the B site. A 4th player pulled over, Elite on the approach as Navi get ready to walk into this one like lambs to the slaughter.
Look at that little gap as well. Sugetsu would have information to try and shoot through, but Koala's beating the smoke. And the gunfights, they're going KC's way.
Quick trade, still numbers with the defense. Angel does get spotted, but look at Avis walking out. 15 seconds, still no plan.
And the spike's down cold. How does Angel get that back?
Unreal from Karmine Corp in this round. Sure, you can come up with a huge individual moment, but when we call on a team performance, it's KC that deliver the pay safe card thrifty.
Now moving into the next. Even after Navi timing out and still losing that round, they have ultimates in which to work with. These are really nice shots from Sugetsu and Martin that were able to snowball into a round win.
And that comes through it being a micro masterclass as well. Just the finer details, passing a weapon over, not, you know, blowing all the cash on a few different guns. This time it's the full, but it's Martin again! How does he do it? Every round good for the one and still not down.
Rooksy trying to play up above once again, at least gets the trades out. So no more Viper utility on the defense.
And that has been a mainstay through middle in terms of how KC can dictate the pace of play. Hero on another one of his signature lurks, and that's Sadak gone. As the captain is lost to the A site, it opens up completely for Navi.
There's also a cosmic divide for the post plan to even buy more delay.
That's on top of what Hero has already thrown to the deck. The wall, the thorns, and the flash in front. Fake out from Martin to try and clear this early util, but the divide is up early, and Navi are ready to receive those players.
KC know that they can't get out of CT, so they're repositioning for Heaven as a way of getting out, but at the same time, Cosmic Divide is denying them any sort of line of sight here.
Learning the wick at both ends, but knowing that this is all the time that they've got left. The util's gone in and done its job. Martin trying to pave the way, hold the torch, but it goes dark. Sugetsu, the last player standing, long-serving member of Navi under Angel. But with Hero, the new boy on the block, having his mark made on yet another round, a lurk turned into a full sight hold. You thought Martin had done enough.
Yeah, this is an insane round from Hero, and I really like to post plant by Navi. And moving into this next round, again, we just have to highlight what's up and available. It's Hero's Steel Garden, and it's come through his ability to find these picks. It's coming up time and time again. This will be a really big round if Navi can win it, because that would be a 9-3 half. Martin trying to be the one, the difference maker, but instead it's a difference maker for Navi.
So quick to take the A site. Elite's already got a Sheriff. That's all he can have. Doesn't matter. After the ult, it makes no difference. Sui1 back, still Heaven control. Spike going in, and look at Angel. Not Angel, sorry. It was Sadak on the other side. I thought we had some kind of a flank coming in, but no. It's all bodies as far as Navi are concerned on A. And a retake which just doesn't feel feasible.
No, both players disconnected as well. How do you even get back into this one?
Short answer is no. Long answer is no, you don't. Koala with his third on the round. KC having to settle for just 3 from this defender's side. It doesn't even feel like they've hit the baseline. Navi, the ground running on their own map pick of Split. Can they carry that onwards? We'll see after this.
Remaining. Out of charges.
Well, we said that this was a map that Navi were clear favourites to win, and it looks like that's the case after that first half. They're up 9-3, Hazard, but what can KC do to bring themselves back into this?
Sadak saying that they thrive in a difficult environment, and I don't think there is any bigger task than being down by a margin of 6 rounds at the half. Of course, you know, 7, 8 or 9 would be a little bit harder, but I digress. The fact of the matter is they're on the attack here. They are running the double duelist. Aves, Martin both having moments. Those need to create something a little bit more here. 5 ghosts brought up. Okay. Just playing the default, looking for a pick off any player.
Something to bring it back to what Sadhak was saying in that interview was just have to focus on things round by round, and in a 9-3 deficit you would expect this is exactly the game plan. Koala Noob noted through the haunt. At the same time, KC are also got their eyes set on mid. They've got a vice wall to try and fight through. It's procced, and that hero's got a chance. That was a right click.
And it was on top of the wall as well. It's not too often you see that played, but this is the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Game by game, his Vice looks to get better and better.
Angel, he's exploring an avenue in which you don't necessarily want to be in, and he's being hunted down at the same time.
There's a double tether there though, so has bought himself a little bit of space. Still no support. Angel, good for the first. Still, Navi are so slow to follow this up.
Yeah, and if they try and execute in towards A, those storms that are live, as you've just heard, will deny them entry. 30 seconds.
30 seconds left.
But, I mean, damned if you do, and if you don't, go back to middle. That's where Ruxic is already waiting on this fence side. Oh, but the A-hold can't hold up its end of the bargain. Suri's found 2. Navi are on the other side of the veil. The curtain put up in their face, and the plant coming in open, even without that extra control.
All 3 players ready to play off one another, but that's a big kill from Shao. It brings it back even, and the last 2 remaining players on KC are low.
And out in the open, Martin felt like a sitting duck, but quickly he responds. Shao, the healthiest of the players left in the server, looking for more, but it's Martin that makes manifest this KC attack side berth.
Yeah, I mean, that's both teams with 2 pistol rounds to their names, 1 on each map. And again, though, with that being said, getting this one over the line is going to be a great way to start this half and their comeback into Split.
onto the attack side as well, something from the Liquid game, the glimpses that we got of it, was the post plant. Had looked a little bit shaky at points. I go no further with that conversation, but the point being is, as this one moves forwards, you're looking at it being double dive, right? Something which, again, Sadak has shown affiliation towards, typically the Jet, but Martine's Yoru, iconic as it is, you're wondering how much utility can they stockpile when they get into these positions? How difficult can they make it for Navi to have successful retakes?
I think this time we'll see what we saw on Icebox in terms of denying orbs and taking it slow. So KC, this will be number 5, so we'll end up 4 rounds the difference between the two.
Right now, it's Elite, the player that should be looking to try and cause any problems. In fact, he's the only solo player towards ramp. The double up comes with the rifles, and with Sugetsu's name in the feed. That's a couple for him. Casey still keeping this one clean. Time slowly ticking away. Martine now the one on the hunt as that ghost changes hands. Headshot Ruxic, trying to farm up some of these ult points, but Sugetsu's the one that is just a single point away from having his in the next. And there it is. From the shadows comes online, as do KC. That's 5 now, looking towards a very strong bonus round.
Yeah, and can KC now show Navi how to convert a bonus round with their buy, because they have all 5 players on a rifle. Some nice shots all in, but I mean, it was futile resistance coming through from Navi. Still at the same time, Navi have been building up the same time some really nice ultimates and halfway towards Shao's Cosmic Divide.
Slay bestie. KC highest win rate in that metric. And it's a round like this when I'm looking at 4 Vandals, a Bulldog, and quite a few regen shields, in fact, 4 of them. Big fans of the new kit. AC slow on their mid approach, but taking the necessary steps. The Haunt clears vents, but Ruxic is here, and with his rifle in hand, that's Martine gone, no trade.
Yeah, there's still support as well through Koala Noob. That utility combo looked good, but
it's nade.
Yeah, exactly. It just doesn't get the nade just doesn't hit as well as what it should.
And so for these early investments all KC made towards mid, they haven't really held on to the space. It's only Aves deposited here. Can't quite track Ruxic as you saw Sugetsu find that kill on B and send it back site, but to Hero he goes. And to the spectator screen now.
There's a lot of ambitious plays coming through here. And will KC get control of the A site, you're looking at Aves in the position that he's found himself in.
It's just going to be calling KC back towards this side of the map, towards B, behind the standard lurk wall. They will go into vents. Hero just about in position to catch on to this, but does he expect Aves? The reason for the rotation, a deep clear, but he walks to the open, and that's the advantage for the attack side.
Yeah, that could be the deadly blow on the round. 15 seconds, plenty of space to get that spike down. As for the 2 remaining, Koala and Ruxic, they have utility in which to work with. Most importantly, Koala's nade.
Smoke setup as well are going to completely estrange the main players. In fact, it's a little short of the mark. It's just to help cross into sight, and always the possibility of a player swinging back from outside it. Navi are slow in their movement to the side.
Yeah, but look at the crossfire. You can't really swing out into this.
Someone's going to have to soon, though. Surely not another full stick. Satchel coming in to push at least a player off, but the spike's already been halved, and that's where someone needs to step up. Someone on the Navi side. It has to be Ruxic. Second smoke, but can't find the firefight. Sadak delivers a bullet to his brain. That's a 6th for KC, and I tell you what, Cairo, it's the bonus that they've picked up.
Yeah, and not only that, you win the bonus, you destroy the buy of the defense. And Navi, I can't believe I'm saying this, but they're letting another lead potentially go to the wayside, this time in the round count. And you think for a minute that they're going to be able to get the defuse through as well.
I'm so stupid, I didn't.
I don't know what it is he didn't realize. Potentially the smoke's still in play. I feel like that would be a bit too much of an oversight. Okay, nice shot, Martin. Into his dome piece, 5 HP left. But I think that round as well tracks what I was saying about those post-plant situations. KC still grouped up though, able to haul it through. The threat in this round for me is Koala's Bucky, but yeah, solo A. Spike not yet committed, but Navi already showing they're willing to show face.
It's like, yeah, the threat is Koala's Bucky, but are they going to go anywhere near it? I mean, it looks like Elite is though.
Spike is behind this, a little bit separated.
Oh no.
Koala up close. This could be a problem, but as Elite walks and just hugs the back wall, that's the safety from the Bucky. Away from striking distance. KC on the A site. Moving here with intent now, all 5 players, heavy main control, but concessions made towards spawn. It's such a long rotation for Angel though, so yeah, there's no real moves to be made right now.
Oh, that is a big move though. That should cleared out main completely. Navi won't know that, but it's still all 4 players on site. If they can constrict them and stop them from getting out, 4 rifles could be lost here.
Shackled by the thorns, sent out by Hero, the tether on top and the reveal behind it. KC looking to win the round at the very least, but can you get out with the guns if you were able to? Ruxic finds 2. Shao needs a couple more. He's not going to be able to win this, but in terms of damage control, I think Navi have made a bit of a dent here. KC up to 7, and that's the big talking point. Just 2 rounds in it. Still the defense yet to pick one up when they had a flawless defender's half last time they played this map.
And that's the big thing, right? And I wonder if that's what KC looked at in terms of their ante in towards this. If they were thinking about game plan management, right? Their defense side didn't look too good, but their attack even better.
And one important statistic that needs to be mentioned about that defense is that they didn't concede a single first death, Navi. So they always had the run of play going their way. It's these uncomfortable situations again, which is the serious stress test of how well the team is doing.
Martin, up close, did see Koala, but Ruxic hasn't been identified. He will do after destroying the fake out. Well, thinking about the dimensional drift instead, decides against it.
And KC don't want to rush this. They're playing the game at their own pace. They have the tools now. Sadak's still with the Nightfall available, so if you wanted to tag up a couple players, you could potentially get Martin in behind. But it looks like he's just going to full send it B instead and clear out some of this potential utility, wall included, but no fake out to remove it.
Yeah, remember, the dimensional drift doesn't have as long as what it used to be, so the Nightfall comes in, and Hero's found a pocket, trying to work it, make it go in his favour, but it doesn't. Shao does instead. Needs to win against Sugetsu, and does, and puts Navi at 1 player to the good, trying to use his own star to make a pocket where he can walk and does so on for the ace, but it's Koala who's in the next engagement and loses a chance now for Elite to run to the other side of the map.
That's the green light. And in terms of what he has to work with, he still pocketed that poison cloud. 1 off the pit as well. So many tools to just play around. And Shao coming back into this, just a single star, and not much health to support it.
Viper's Pit, and I mean, it's not as if you'd have much health anyway. Elite quick on the swing out. A Red Bull clutch brings us within 1 of these 2 teams.
And as I said before, Navi are just not getting these rounds on their own terms and conditions. I have to say, after KC finding that opener, it did feel like they rushed things and it was kind of messy towards the B side of the map. Navi doing well to dissuade, but I mean, Elite winning another clutch for as many as Navi built their empire on their own attack side with these 1vx's. That is such a backbreaker now. 5 rounds consecutive, and you're digging into empty pockets.
You are. Again, defense eco is never kind when you find yourself at the back of a run of rounds from the attack. And what do you talk about here if you're Navi? Try and amend the mistakes that you've been making.
we've seen that Navi are very willing to invest and upfront some huge ultimates in rounds which don't best suit them economically. However, they don't really have the ones that I think you could really cause a problem with here. It's more looking towards that retake.
And I think, I was just sorry to cut you off, mate, but like, you think that you say that, but I feel as if a Steel Garden on a retake, you even the playing field. Like, I don't hate that idea, but the one thing I do hate is Navi always invest in those ultimates.
I was just about to say that when you look at Happy's history, even as a player, he was always someone very good at doing more with less, at least in terms of weaponry, so I find it funny. This is the situation we're in. It's Hero, the sheriff in his hands this time, a hand cannon as it were.
And there's always two ways of approaching a round after a timeout. Do you either play it fast and loose, or do you play it slow and methodical? And KC looking to go the latter route as they dot their I's, cross their T's, and Navi are like moths to a flame, trying to respond to any sort of pressure. Yeah. KC are poking and prodding throughout the map.
And they still have a minute left here as well, Cairo.
It's of Nightfall as well.
It is. Angel getting it up from the orb picked from the floor of A main. That's where the initial aggression was. Navi kind of hoping that they can shepherd KC into the setup. They're still going to get the B execute. But this one feels like it's at KC's pace rather than Navi having set the precedent.
Chow found out. He's able to get one of his own though. And Ruxic has a Spectre as well, so as you come onto the B site and close quarters environment, you would favour Ruxic here.
Around the smoke, it's a Spectre in hand. Hero also on his lonesome, 20 seconds time. Not really here for them, needing to clear out those couple of players, but look, Aves is a safe pair of hands. 2 kills quickly, Spike in a spot where you would want Koala's nade maybe to stop it. It's going to take a while for him to get back over. The rest of the upgrades are on site. Angel does have the Vandal. He's trying to play it kind of early.
Yeah, and that horn to clear close by, but that rifle now passed over to Koala. He doesn't even have shields either.
No, and I don't know how much more of a go he wants to give this. He won't get half a chance. That's 6 rounds now, successive for KC. Split should have been the shoe-in for Navi, but now you're looking at the real possibility of a completely catastrophic second half. The defender-sided half, of which we saw be airtight for them before, but now it's poor and it's porous.
Yeah, it's not looking good whatsoever. The ultimates to come back in, sure they used the Nightfall, but there's plenty more at their side. We look towards mid as there's a couple players here to try and brawl it out. Koala holds on to B main with his operator.
The first real time that you've seen that op come in play as well. The desk talking about it in detail, how Navi's macro is built around this. A consistent factor in that game against BBL yesterday. Felt like they had the right read a lot of times when they were trying to scout it out, but not able to deal and contain that threat fully. Already looking at both Prowlers being invested in mid here. Angel's just keeping half an eye on it.
Remember, Ruxic still to make his introduction here as well, so this has been really good. Baiting out by Angel, and Ruxic's able to get 2, but Casey, 2 back in the conversation. It's even after that engagement.
They have the tower control here as well, which they have so frequently enjoyed.
Shao, he's in a one and done angle. He can't really escape from there.
But KC have closed it off. Sadak looking to use his utility through this smoke, play around with the timing, shooting the haunt mid-air is Shao, but still finding the kills. Koala has the ult if he needs it. Just to get that first round on the board, you might as well pull the trigger now.
He's also buying time for Hero to get into position as well.
But Hero doesn't want to go too quickly because he's worried that Sadak might have repositioned. Still 10 toes down on the B site. And as the showstopper goes off, he knows where Koala is. If he can find this kill, then maybe there was a chance. But there you have it. Navi clapping back eventually, double digits, but it took a while.
Yeah, that's the exact point I was coming in with. The fact that it had taken 7 rounds to find that round as well. I mean, the benefit from that last round is that KC were able to get the showstopper. The bad thing is, they choose their own.
And again, you're just expecting him to be involved as much as possible on these rounds when he has the op. Through mid, he'll go this time. Smoke place market side, but he's the first responder to the ramp play.
Yeah, for the most part, Navi were happy to lean heavier towards other places in the map. So now the players start to rotate in. KC had a free site, they don't anymore.
The wall not yet tripped in that position. They know it's the flood out from main. KC get themselves on site. Without Koala Noob, his trusty op, the support of player presence, it's KC that take this fight early.
Trying to go in towards CT. The ultimate's now starting to come through, the first of which is the Steel Garden. Rooksik trying to use his own ultimate, and there's a pocket to work with. And behind the Cosmic Divide, KC aware of this, trying to respond. Martin and the rest of the players fall at the same time. A distraction, but Aves still not found. Finally, he is. And Navi, after getting their first very quickly, double up.
And it's so important that they do as well, because you're looking at the money on a few of these players. Rooksik, Hero, Shao, all below 200 credits. I don't think there was any world where KC were going to get caught off guard fully by that Cosmic Divide TP play. You remember back to kickoff last year, they were the ones that pioneered it with the Yoru, but it's the fact that there is no return there.
I think that's the thing though, right? You say that, there's no way they're going to get caught off guard, but they do in another sense. They put so much investment into trying to deal with it that Navi are able to get the value.
It's like a distraction.
Yeah.
Oh, look. It's your favorite set retake over here in backside, and then the rest of Navi have a different kind of approach. The next round, just as important as the last, and that can be said for KC most importantly. Stinger in the hands of Martin, the rest have the guns they would like. Sadak the ult, 5 players through the mouth of main.
Outcome, Koala's op has been notified, and well, Shao found out as well. Rooksik's in! Oh, out of nowhere, out of heaven! An elbow drop onto the head of Karmine Corp. And Rooksik's still able to survive, and he has support as well. Navi are looking to send this towards 12, and they'll get it! That's 3 in a row!
They all come up at the exact right time. I mean, it was bound to happen. The 9-3 comeback, we get to 9-9 and it's all Navi.
But it's like the same storyline that happened on Icebox.
Absolutely. The question now will be, can they close it on not completely favourable terms? KC still have money left in the bank. They've got a timeout from which to work. But that was, you know, a precious ult invested. The first couple of picks collected, but then Navi with the rest of the player numbers, and Rooksik dropping out of tower there to support the double kill, reinforcing the backside space with his smoke as well to his left-hand side, enabling everyone else around him, as both smokes are the stars on the Navi side.
Can you see this easily going to overtime as well? I don't think Navi are completely out of the woods just yet. I mean, you look at the money as well, it's still not amazing on the defense. As for the attack, and where they've found most of their success, or I guess less of their success recently, they've been caught off guard with these retakes that Navi have been doing.
Yeah, and it's a point that I raised much earlier, but I suppose it was almost invalidated with that streak of success from KC, but some underlying issues starting to pop up in these rounds that matter most, when you felt like the teams were on even terms, that big swing in their direction has been met with an equal response. So here we have it, KC to hang on and not head towards Ascent. From Koala.
Needs to be careful of shops.
Complete confidence in taking this space right now. As you've highlighted, KC hanging on, just waiting with bated breath for him to peek in. And as he goes round the corner, it fires back. Aves to get the once over. His opposite number. And you look back to the streak of rounds that KC won, they always had that first pick.
He did. Ruxic, though, he's trying to be a bit too aggressive for my liking. Invest in the paranoia so he can get out and calling for support and Angel.
2 players tucked. You look at Hero in the meantime, completely detached from all of this on A.
Right there.
Elite is going to be walking on up behind his own wall at a moment's notice, or in fact it's a full cancel as this garage space is taken. It looks like KC want in with the dimensional drift which they've just brought up through the ult point.
I like that though, you know, you go and clear out, but I don't think Shao's been found out there, and he finds himself in the smoke, close to players. Angel found out. That main fight's going to be a big one. Shao gets to Getsu!
Oh, and there's more to be had! Time is low and it's all on Shao. If he can hold this side of the map, then maybe it's enough for Hero to come in and save the day again. But already taking on that responsibility, he finds the first and freezes.
Waits for his teammate to come in and support. No utility on either. Shao's star won't come back up on time.
I don't think Casey fully realised where exactly Shao has gotten off to. Hero with the flash to just lay this back up. It does get destroyed, and the drop-in not yet here. As he's finally spotted, Hero responds, and this might just be how the second map ends. It's all on Martin between KC and the Decider. The first kill is his. The TP across, and the time on his side. Shao has to stick it half. Martin knows it and nails the shot. A Red Bull clutch. 10 taken. Casey's still alive.
I can't believe we managed to get into a position where it is winnable for Navi. Martin, again, we speak about X Factor. That's a player you can depend upon when it's needed. And again, I highlighted it just before we went through this round. And Navi's bio didn't look great into the next round because of the money that they have, and that's exactly the case. Both teams are stricken for options here. A big swing round and deciding if this map is done or we go overtime.
It's the biggest round in this series so far. And it's Shao again, who needs to keep his composure. One kill might not be enough, especially due to the fact there isn't players on site this time. Playing from tower, they'll keep the space at the very least, but
well, his nades have been pretty good in past, though.
Yeah, I think he needs an extra layer of support to find this kill. Instead, it just buys time. Navi have made that rotation happen.
Yeah, that Nightfall still up and available for Angel. This retake could be pretty good for Navi.
Alves hearing footsteps in the halls above. The Nightfall not going to catch him. Still not spotted. Sadak at a top draw. Here's Alves on to the next. KC coming up clutch in the rounds that they need. The absolute most. Regulation to the limits of it we will go. 24 rounds on the table and KC still not keeling.
They're going to have to throw the kitchen sink at this round. They have absolutely nothing in terms of their buy. It was a big swing round and it swung defiantly in KC's favour. The ultimates, I mean, here or there, you look at it, depends on the way that some of these kills go, or ultimate orbs, that could be a defining factor.
But it feels like a very straightforward round from KC in their 11th hour on Split to send us to a second successive overtime in the elimination series. They head into the double stack of utility set up. Alves has the ult, but at the best of times, he's been unable to land it. Shao from the corner, finally spotted, still not taken down, and while Alves gets one in the meantime, Shao still walking away with one, and Koala gets his, but can't get out. Spike still not down.
The reposition.
And Ruxic right behind them. Oh my lord, he's only going to get one for now.
The players trying to escape up ramp, they're not going to get a chance.
It's a 2-on-2, and Ruxic has taken it to their advantage. Navi doing it right at the death, 13-11. And so with that, there is more to be played.
I thought we were heading to overtime, I'll be completely honest. KC swing a punch and completely miss, fall over their own feet. I feel as if that should have went to overtime. I just don't know how it didn't.
Oh, and with the next map being Ascent as well, I'm sure the desk will go into detail, but both teams, for Navi, they haven't showed it. For KC, they're shuffling the deck. It's anybody's game. We'll see who takes it all home and stays alive after the break.
No one giving it to Angel. Angel taking it by himself.
It took a while, but I got him.
Bro, it was hard.
Red Bull gives you wings.
I don't know where you've been sold, but I'd be insane not to play my.
A fantastic response from Navi on split means we will be seeing a map 3 in this elimination match. I'm your hosting Suna, back here with Mini and Hypok once again. Bit of a fake comeback. We don't like those fake comebacks, do we?
I mean, it felt like a real comeback to start things off, but yeah, it's fizzled out a little bit at the end, but who the hell was that on Navi? Like, who were those guys?
Do you mean
who
that
were those
one?
guys?
The one in the middle? Yeah.
Yeah, both teams just defense to me. It was just like this whole series has been a series of just poor defenses and not finding any footing in there at all. But Navi realizing at the end that their comp is supposed to be a little bit more defense-sided and just taking it over.
I do want to say that this is such a KC way of having a fake comeback, because this could have been a real comeback. This could have been a 2-0 KC, which is a sentence I've said about 50 times since I've been in EMEA. If it weren't for some of the shenanigans we saw in round 20, round 19 as well, Hypok, it's just it's the same thing we spoke about in the pre-show. They haven't learned.
Yeah, but if you're talking about the Cosmic Divide.
Yeah, we're going to see it.
Yeah,
we're going to see it.
There's just a couple that's, and it's not even as if somebody's overheating or it's like there's scenarios like this time and time again where KC come out on top, but then you look at this and there's almost like a split decision here because somebody's getting shot in the back trying to hard clear this Cosmic Divide. Martin's jumping through again, trying to spray with a rifle. Got away with one of those today already, but it's just one of those where it's like, these are the sort of situations we're talking about where if these are kind of like micro calls on the fly, reactionary to things going down, Sadak should be in control of those. So that's the sort of thing that actually the pre-show we're tapping into. Sadak shouldn't be miscalling sort of some of these situations. So you've got to ask questions about why these things pan out the way they do.
Yeah, and the irony there completely is that that's a play that Casey should be used to, because they invented that on the attack where they used the Cosmic Divide to get the Euro in. And in that moment, it just felt like there's just so much there must have been so much chaos in the comms. They didn't have kind of a mature reaction to what was happening, didn't have a protocol for it, and just kind of melted a little bit, it felt like.
Nobody was on the same page there. They're going to be kicking themselves when they watch that back. Now, you guys asked about who was on Navi. Shao was on Navi. Shao's been on Navi this whole time.
Wow.
And he's come alive.
Wow, has he? That feels like that's one of the best map performances from Shao we've seen in like 18 months. Like it was just absolutely phenomenal from him. Again, situations where you are kind of synonymous when you think back to when Shao and Sugetsu played alongside each other. These are the sort of rounds you expect from either one of them. But here he had like 6 or 7 of those rounds.
Yeah, it was phenomenal. Like, I think we just got the analyst desk curse, so we need to just choose.
He was listening. They were in the ready rooms listening.
We need to choose another player.
All right, who do you think?
I think we go Shao again. Let's get another
Double
one.
Shao,
yeah. Because Mike said it's the first map in what, like, you know, a year almost where he's. Let's go for 2.
All right, back to back Shao. I mean, once upon a time that was a bog standard day in the office for Shao. He did this every single match. We saw him play.
Do we tap into some of the ancient Shao magic on Ascent for the decider?
Yeah, we
Bust
will.
the fade out.
Okay, we're gonna do it in a
Good
moment.
old days.
No spoilers. We're gonna do it in a moment because we gassed up Hero since the day he joined Navi, and we're gonna continue to do this because again, very, very consistent. Again, not sure why Mini decided not to keep him on Fnatic. Weird decision.
You look like an idiot now.
Yeah, actually kind of weird that that didn't happen. But let's take a look at some of the heroic clutches that we saw. And we complain about Shao not having a Shao show performance, but Hero's just doing this every single game.
I'm not going to speak.
Why not?
Because I'll be in big trouble.
I'll speak because this was such an insane clutch as well. Again, everything thrown at him. Sadak throws the ult in, the paranoia lands, everything. He's backed up into elbow. The only real criticism on the side of KC here is that Aves is a little ahead of the curve. And I mean, you can see immediately here the emotions shown back in the coach camp, but rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like I said, when you're investing in a 3v1, the Nightfall and the paranoia, and you've got the raise to gap close, again, just throw bodies on it together.
Do you reckon that's why he shaved his hair? To make that a moment a little bit more, even more dramatic?
This is what
that was the
he's foreseen this moment.
Yeah, but
he knew moments like that were coming.
I've never seen him wear a hat, first of all. Not one time. And second of all, just the drama thrown off and it's got no hair.
So like
that was pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was prepping that one.
Yeah, that should have been in your playbook once upon a time. Would have been great for you to do.
My hair's too big for a hat, I think. Wouldn't work.
I seem bigger, but all right, let's talk about some of the rounds we saw. Stop staring at me like that.
I was just waiting for you to move on.
Hero's staring at me, and you're staring at me as well. Let's talk. I mean, I'll give you an opportunity to talk, Minnie, because I know you have a lot to talk about that first half and the A hits we saw.
Yeah, so I thought that Navi did a great job of attacking that A site, and I thought it was kind of a mistake from KC that they didn't end up adapting at all. Like, Sadak was talking about these adaptations, but I didn't see the adaptations at all here. Personally, I would have loved to see Martin defend that A site at the start of rounds a little bit more, because Navi just got the free site a lot of the time, and their comp is pretty good in the post plant. Their strength is not those execs. They don't have the breach or like a double duelist. They've got smokes and a vice. So those post plants are going to be pretty good with that comp, but the execs shouldn't be great. So yeah, like again, the adaptation from KC not coming in, Yoru nowhere to be seen on A.
Well, what's funny you say that, but there was 2 rounds. I mean, one of them being where they flash out the smoke. And Martin's TP was still like just in the open, back towards screens. So whether or not that was just kind of like the timing wasn't quite right for him, and the TP hadn't reached his final. Just this one right here. It's the one where they switched up to actually send him forwards on A. But then that was kind of it. It was almost like that was a tilting way for it to end. And I mean, it comes so late on in the half that there's not many opportunities to try and replicate that. But it felt a little weird that that was the one way to try and address that. And A, it wasn't successful. Came so late on that actually they can't build upon that. But you know, what is the second layer to the D?
Yeah, it looked like to me that Casey had like a plan to play more on the retake at A, which isn't the correct game plan in my opinion versus that composition.
Is it just me or is the music really hype right now? I don't know if you guys can hear the music.
I can hear it, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of hype, and I'm glad the music is kind of hype because we are going to map 3. It will be Ascent, and as you were spoiling there a little bit, you know, Shao, the possibility of him playing
We don't
Fade. But can I one-up you just a little bit?
Well.
Do you want to guess what hero's most played agent on Ascent is of all time?
Of all time?
Yeah, for him, for hero alone. Just to sprinkle in some
Is it
spice. It's Phoenix.
Oh, really?
Would you put hero on the
Can
Phoenix?
we fact check that? Because I actually don't believe that.
I'm dead ass.
He used to be a duelist player.
Yeah,
did,
I know,
he
but
did.
Phoenix on Ascent?
Yep, Phoenix 8 times.
I mean, no,
Well.
no, I wouldn't like to see him play
Why
Phoenix on
not?
Ascent. It's just not.
I actually kind of would.
Me too! He's Turkish. We're forgetting the fact that he's Turkish. We got 2 Turkish players on Ascent on the side of Navi.
We're
It's
gonna
looking
get no
good.
Phoenixes.
I just want to see a good, honest, clean Ascent from Navi.
Oh, come on.
Like, I'm sorry.
Come on.
I want to see some Angel throwback 2022 Ascent cooling.
Oh, so you want the default comp?
Default comp, maybe not. Like some Teo in there, maybe a Vice.
Well, then
but
how is that going to be bog standard, you know? You don't...
like standard cooling. Like Phoenix to me is like you're limited so much. You have to like work around it. Like Angel's going to have to do some magic with the
Do you
Phoenix.
reckon Shao will be jailed on another role, though?
Yes.
What, you think yes?
Yes.
If Angel plays sober here, I swear to God.
I'll walk out.
I
I'll walk out.
swear
I'll walk
to
out.
God, if
You'll
that
have to
man...
find somebody else for the second series.
If that man
I'm gone.
dares to be put himself on sober.
I mean, Mike implied earlier, they've always been a little bit more fade-pilled on Ascent, so what do you think about that? Like, you're still okay with Angel Fade, or is that still a...
No.
I will be a bit upset. I will
Not
be
really.
a tiny bit upset. But they could go KO sober. They could still do the KO sober.
Yeah, they could. Well, the thing is actually now to see this in the veto at this stage, you're hoping actually Navi have kind of got something, I don't want to say ace up the sleeve, but back pocket that they've been kind of working on, chipping away at, and this isn't necessarily going to be... I mean, if this comes out now that it feels like a fumble in the veto, that we end up on Ascent, because on the other side of things, obviously, KC 0-1, they play the deadlock comp.
Yeah, it was a double duelist deadlock.
So that would be a little bit heartbreaking to see.
Well, we are going to get Shao on Tejo. Love that. Angel on deadlock. Okay, let's talk about the other side as well.
Yeah, KC dropping the deadlock as well. Obviously, previously it was the Jet and the Razor.
Yeah, it was a double duelist deadlock. So
what
KC
feels like a bit of an overhaul.
Yeah, KC going back to boring. Yinsu's going to love that one.
Yeah,
Navi
this
got
does
some
feel a
spice,
little
though.
more vanilla from the side of KC. But Navi, I'm here for it.
I'm excited to see what they've cooked up. Angel, when he plays the Sentinel on defense specifically, watch out for him just running around and like in the moment, just literally figuring out what he wants to do. And sometimes it works beautifully, sometimes it doesn't. So hopefully for him today, it's going to work beautifully.
It's going to have to work beautifully if Navi want to move to the next round, because there will be no second chances in this series. Hazard and Karo, the loser, will be eliminated from playoffs.
Both of these teams, so much riding on this game to set up whether their stage so far feels like a success or a failure, because we've seen improvements in some ways, drop-offs in others, and now heading on towards Ascent. I want to speak about Navi here quickly, because last year they played Ascent 8 times. We felt like coming in, picking up such a capable opper like Koala Noob, that we would be seeing this from them a whole lot more, but we haven't. And in terms of those results, lost 4 and then won 4, it's always been about consistency, and it's that conversation that comes up yet again.
The stakes could never be higher. And for Navi, when you look at their composition, this is exactly what they ran on M80. When we look at Koala Noob on the Euro, the only difference being in that composition, they've subbed out the Sova for the Tejo. So let's see if that's going to find some value as we move into map 1 of the last map of this elimination series.
But it's Koala Noob that draws first blood. Navi in front on the attack side, orb collected. As KC have gone back to this default style. It's through mid that they'll look to try and funnel the players, but Koala Noob again delivers a bullet to the brain of Elite. This time he'll walk away with 2, but still the numbers, Navi.
Well, that door is dropped. You've got to be looking at Rooksik, who now becomes the Joker. In fact, they're going to open the door back up to let him back in, but both players are already out heaven.
Because I mean, there's a mesh set up, so Navi looking to try and take this fight. It's a TP back towards main for Koala. Rooksik finding the kill. Koala looking to add the final details, but it's Rooksik that ends up with both. Another attack side pistol for Navi. By my count, that's now 5 in a row.
Yeah, and not only that, you can already see the comfortability on Koala within this comp, on the Yoru. That's what you should expect when you're running a composition of agents, but he knows how to work.
And even from the double sentinel here, which has touched on just a little bit, is that we've seen other teams in the region go for it, right? We know that Apex tried it. It was one of the maps where they did find a little bit of success. Liquid against BBL, that was very nearly another 13-0. And for me, you're just looking at those combos as well with the Teho and how that net and salvos are going to be paired up.
That's the thing. Something everyone always highlights with this comp, that KC are running the deep... Oh, wait a minute, Hero, he could get caught here.
I think he'll be all right. Oh, without his cage, but yeah, hitting the tag. Swings and roundabouts, mate. They are off to A.
Yeah, they've seen plenty of bodies here. The correct decision is to be as quick as possible in hitting A, but KC could be quick in cutting off rotations. They missed their opportunity. Now we look at Aves.
Biding his time towards the back of Gen. Anything here would have been good. It's a turned head for Koala Noob, but he'll turn the other cheek. There's no problem.
A little bit of a headache, paracetamol maybe needed as KC take their time coming back into sight.
And from this position, with the stat that you saw at the start of the round, the history in terms of how they manage money, we're talking about another Navi bonus and the potential of it to create a snowball. We know that they had such a strong start to split. They built up a number of rounds, 9-3. That's gonna, I thought gonna pick up at least 1 kill there onto Elite. But no, it's just safeguarded the round instead. And to carry on what I was going to say, is that, yeah, I don't think they're going to be losing anything here at all.
Yeah, but I just want to go back to my point that I'd started at the start of the round, right? About how Navi, in terms of the composition they're playing against, will have plenty of opportunity to get practice against this, right? The default comp, the one that we tend to expect, or used to expect on Ascent, now that double Sentinel's starting to make its reappearance and find its way in the meta. Yeah, you're looking at Navi, they should know exactly how to move around the map, know exactly how to gain reactions, and I mean the decision making should be easy for Angel, should be.
He's made his choice here. 5 players at the B spawn barrier. Sadak with the utility. It's just a shock that he fires in. Very committed position, but the Cajun support and dropping the recon behind it. What's in for a little bit more, but all it ends with is damage and tears.
Yeah, but remember, 3 players of KC are here and ready to fight, and one of them is Martin. Spike dropped, and Angel trying to recollect the spike, gives himself up. Navi, I mean, it's just been fallen to the wayside here. It looks like KC will have the response. It's that Navi curse once again on the bonus.
This hero could do something about it. First couple shots clean onto Martin, but KC have restored order in the rifle as you expect.
Yeah, again though, I don't want to be the hater, right? But like, how many times?
No, you know what? The floor is yours.
But like, how many times are we going to see Navi not win a bonus round when they have that buy? Like, they set themselves up perfectly every time, as you should expect from the architects of the FPX buy, right? But like, the next round, the bonus round is always so underwhelming and it's frustrating.
I think there, KC just given the time to react here. They want to be proactive instead. Martin into the fire and flames beyond this smoke. Is there support? It comes in the form of Aves, but it's just not enough. Not long lasting. Na'Vi immediately respond.
Yeah, what a way to respond to any criticism that had levied against him. Very well navigated by Navi.
It's all in the name, buddy. It's all in the name. But I have to say, that's a situation where it's like, okay, is that repeatable?
Yeah.
Probably not, because KC have just brought the fight straight to them. The question will be, is there more of the same? Is that something that this defense wants to try? Because when you talk about strat books, and Ascent being in quite a healthy meta right now, I think, all things considered, everyone knows what the strats are. You've seen that play a million times before.
Yes, 100%. I mean, went back to Vision Strikers, as it's been called many a time. Not even in Valorant any longer. Sugetsu, is he going to be in this round? As he tries to escape, Martin flies him out there.
Cover going out.
Those players might not be heading to Toronto, but I'll tell you who is. Track by track, one step at a time. Navi, not the ones that are putting a foot in front of each other too well here. It's a couple of missteps. Now trying to force the issue on B, but the setup is there. KC do well just to trade out an elite buying time from backside. Shao again. It's top draw, and with the spike down, there's still a chance between him and Hero. These are the players you want.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you've got Sentinel utility to work with here as well, so Navi in prime position in post.
And the ult on Shao to set up Hero. Oh, it's blocked him a little bit from the initial entry, but he fans out behind it. And KC are caught with a blind eye, but still Hero can't do anything but damage. Can Shao capitalize from it? Sitting inside the smoke, the spike not shown, but as it evaporates from his vision, there you have it. KC effective in the way that they've played off of one another to set up this second.
The big thing for Navi in this round, very similar to Split, is when they get into post, if they have majority of their members up, it should be as strong as possible. It should be almost impossible for KC to get back into sight. Understandably, there was only two players alive there towards the end, but that's a win condition for Navi. And when they move on to defense,
million times I was saying that happened.
as I was saying,
a million times
on the defense, we're expecting them to do better, right? So it's about how many rounds can you get on the attack, Navi.
And I mean, how prepared are KC going to be when push comes to shove? What does the execution look like?
Mid is going to be taken by KC here.
Tempered approach. After the first 15 seconds, they pull the pin, the play is made, but that redistribution of the defense is towards the B site where the spike is yet to cross. Sadak in play, sprays away, 2 kills. Elite right behind it. The rest of KC there, reactive at the best of times, but the support, it's flowing through when needed. Koala was the first player in and looks like the last one out.
This is Koala's map though. I think he can do this.
I mean, I'm not sure if I follow along. I mean, you hype a guy up, there was always a chance, but you're asking too much. When KC look as well drilled as they do in situations like that, it's where Navi are not quite reaching those expectations.
I saw how all the players were set up, right? Like I saw the one chance, right? The Doctor Strange scenario, but at the same time, we go back to 3-3.
Matt, you are him, bro. You are him.
So many times that we've seen a player have their moment. I mean, right now, I think the most telling thing about the scoreboard, and you won't see it as we're in the timeout for Navi, is that Sugetsu is, well, actually, there's quite a lot to talk about. Sugetsu has 10 assists, firstly, 10 assists inside 6 rounds, so that tells you all you need to know in terms of Navi pushing through these smokes. And secondly, actually looking at the kill distribution, pretty much everyone has at least 3 kills, and like 3 or 4 deaths. KC are just very efficient, very tightly knit, and doing a fantastic job.
And I think as well, when we look at what the utility Navi have, they don't have any like really great utility to break out of the smoke. Sure, you've got Koala Noob's flashes, but in that last round, he's on his ultimate, right? He's not really going to be able to set up his team perfectly. And if you have one player playing anti-flash, then it's very easy to destroy the push.
KC starting to come up on some ults here. Navi not as close. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Look how perfect those numbers look right now for KC. It's like the shoal of fish from Finding Nemo. They're all pointing in the direction of another playoff game.
I will find them.
There's still so much work to be done, and any round you let Navi pick up here just makes that defense even more terrifying.
Speak of Nemo, just need to keep on swimming round by round.
That was Dory, mate.
Yeah, but it's in the Finding Nemo movie.
Very true.
Give it peace.
I've been told that I look like the Dory voice actor a few times. Oh man. Shenanigans aside, see if
they're walking into a vest here.
Navi can course correct on this eco, and well, Angel's open it up.
No.
A first kill for him. And it's the A-site onslaught with Hero slipping in between the lines beyond the barrier mesh. It's another kill. Could this be the Navi eco? Or does Martin have something to say? He's silenced. That's the lead. And Navi find themselves in front on this attack again.
Do you know what? That's just absolutely insane. The mismanagement of the round and the mistakes that we see. I mean, I know we were all seeing Sideshow crash out earlier, but he'll be crashing out of that one. I mean, what is happening there?
Any particular reason why?
I think there's something about a trap.
There was a hole under your wall. I just went under it and went got killed too.
Even so, I'm sure how expectant of that KC were, but posted more success. Navi have this annihilation to work with. 3 ults on the other side, and looking at player positions right now, Sui has a lot of work to do. Potentially going to reposition Wine, but holding the one way for now. But if he bails, it's only others here to support. Still that ult to bank on.
I mean, this split is perfect.
The group up short. They're going to break one of the arms of this push.
I don't think they are. Look, they've split up once again. This is a set take, set exit. They're waiting for the utility to come up, and the players send it in.
Yeah, and Abbas is going to be caught behind this wall, so it's all on Sugetsu to stand his ground. Sadak in support, Koala furthest player forward. Revealed TP out, just about hanging on. KC fighting through into short, but they can't survive. Navi batter back. 5 rounds expected unless Sadak can save the day.
I mean, could maybe get a Vez back up, but instead broke the door, so this is just a bait, and they know exactly where the Sova is.
The cage has him caught. They know now the info. Stunned, revealed, everything on a very long list of troubles which continues to grow as Navi have doubled their advantage coming into a round where they're expected to keep on moving forwards.
Very nice utility at the end. I mean, just the way that they execute, and you can tell that it's set, not just from the fact that the players have were waiting for the utility to come up, but the fact that it hit every single part. And now you look at the buy, you look at what KC bring forward, a Vez with just a hero rifle and Sadak with a bucky.
In terms of those player positions, it's this Vision Striker move that we were talking about earlier. Hero getting one. Reveal not on the player, but the fake out. Still Bucky in hand of Sadak as he sidesteps the shots. Shock looking for further damage.
Yeah, but look at Martin here, and the space that he's found. Navi are walking right into this, oh no.
Onto the Grand Tour, Martin. Step into the show floor, first kill picked up. Flash through, oh, 2 would have been great. With Ruxic removing him, it's straight to the boathouse he goes.
Love this, taking the space nice and early. KC though, are very quick on the mark.
They expect the site player from the TP, but still can't deal with him. In front of the line, Sugetsu was looking for the spike.
Where are Navi going?
They're gonna reroute this just because they don't want to deal with that one defender. Faking mid-pressure. Sugetsu's still solo.
He just got a chance to deny the spike.
He's so far ahead of this, Sugetsu! gets 2 kills. Bruxic last player left, and it's just fallen apart for Navi. At least step it in to just shear away another. It's a pace safeguard thrifty, and no rest for Navi at all.
No rest for the Wicked, no rest for Valorant watchers, because what just happened, mate? A pace safeguard thrifty, and KC, even after winning that round, are going to call a time.
Sublime from Sui. Whatever it is you want to say about this round, KC took the onus on themselves to go for that B play, to fight tiles from both lanes, to keep it constricted. Hero goes down, Sui able to follow it up with that second kill, and now off the timeout, they feel the wind at their backs, money in their pockets, but there is an issue.
And I think, well, for me, the issue is that contingency that they need to have against Navi's ultimates, right? Because these last couple of rounds, they are nowhere near what Navi have. Well, Navi, they have the Armageddon, they have the Annihilation. You're looking at the Dimensional Drift 2 off for Koala Noob. So if Navi use their ultimates effectively, they'll find themselves in a pretty good position. But these are all if, buts and maybes.
And we know that you do absolutes.
Exactly. But
something I can say for certain though is that Navi strat book, this is a test of it. How much have you put into this Ascent, which we've seen floated as a decider in the last few series for them, where, you know, you look at this map for the team in general, it has been okay in the past, but it's 7 successive losses now, all the way back to week 1, stage 1 last year. To come up in playoffs would be everything, but Sugetsu has been spotted. Bruxic knows his tricks too well. That TP won't be catching him off guard anytime soon.
I really like that by Navi to make sure that Wine can't be taken by KC. They've also deposited a trap outside of B, just to make sure that we're not going to get the same sort of flank that Martin was able to do last time out.
Reposition towards B for Navi. On this attack side,
big info.
As you say, the difference is they would have had numbers, but it's the recon in front of the utility, and they go back to the stack. Hero's still here. Neural Theft dropped in. What do they do with this info?
I mean, they've only found the Cypher, and look at the reposition off the back of it. I thought they were going to run to B because only one player was found, but Navi's slow roll out, and Naves is only able to get one elite though, finding his chance, but he's already taken so much damage. It's easy for Koala to finish out. Martin getting one of his own. 2v2, tries to deny the spike, but it's not to be advised. It's Navi will find 6.
Navi already at the very least guaranteeing that this half breaks even. And you're still thinking in the back of your mind, what does it look like out of the opening 12? How much more is there left in the tank? Does this double Sentinel have legs? And right now, in terms of the rounds as they're being played, just looking for KC to make their move first, because this has been a very proactive version of a style we've seen so many times before, even by those standards.
Well, one of the ultimates was used. It was only the Neural Theft and found massive value. Now you look at the rest available, and they can usually get even better chances at being used. Now, looks to be another B split. Martin.
Already had one go, and the next bite of the cherry is just as sweet. Elite following it up. 4v3 situation, and KC offered the reset.
Blades up, ready to go.
So that rotation is even quicker.
The read's perfect.
3 players in short. Navi walking up and into trouble, into the face of danger. KC coming back in and doing it in dominant fashion. The support was there, making the right calls mid-round, a little bit of individual brilliance, but the team still performing together.
It's not even that, right? I can't wait for it to come back up on the replay, but Martin's split-second decision-making, not to go for the fake-out, but to go for the, Euro that was swinging him, and then on top of that, like that, just nice little cherry on top.
He's like, coming from a Yoru player, I know which is which. That's second sense.
Yeah, but last round, we've been highlighting it many a times for the past couple. The ultimates to be used.
So many ults. Everything but the kitchen sink thrown at this. Koala's just looking for a target to send that deadlock ult in. Spotted in tower. Martine gets out. But I have to say, with all of this Sentinel util, now in post, KC have to go quickly.
Yeah, they need to be careful, and not only that, if they do go quickly, there's ultimates to deny, and well, first one in, still not got the Armageddon used either, but it might not be needed at all, it isn't! Navi move into the next half with an advantage.
You're seeing the value from the utility there, and while it's late on the half, it's late in the evening, and Navi have their advantage. They lead coming into the final half of play in this EMEA elimination match. KC trying to fly that French flag through the lower bracket, but it's a long way away now.
Sorry, this was taken.
Red Bull gives you wings.
Got the supporters in the house, of course. Everyone on EMEA side tuning in to see who carries on in this lower bracket. Navi out the back of a loss to BBL, and now facing up against the KC side, which have already shown they can come back in the second half of matches. Split didn't go their way. The last two maps by a margin of just 2 rounds. Now the question is, how good is this double Sentinel defense from Navi?
I mean, that is the question. The last drops of sand begin to drop through the hourglass for one of these teams. For the other, a run through the lower bracket is what awaits. Navi, they have their favoured side to close out this map, but will it be good? Will it fall to the French?
Koala, first point of contact in mid. It's player presence, and there's plenty more behind this for Navi. Many times on the attack side they were barreling through smokes, but as they clear out that space, A is where the push is coming in.
Navi well aware of what needs to be done, and well, they've stopped this before it's even got started.
Sadek just looking for a kill, maybe through a shock or something. As Martine is lost, you don't have any of that gap close anymore. In terms of getting to site, Elite still hanging around in middle. But Navi happy to play this way because they've got a cam up on B, and all that means is that they don't need to worry about the entire left-hand side. They just group up and wait for the execution.
And you look at Shao, right? He's playing as the rotate player, just in enough vicinity to use the utility that he has if it's needed. This is not going to be B. This is going back towards A shorter. That's what I thought, as the spike makes its way through mid.
Yeah, I think all of this right now is to try and drag a player over, create some pressure, force Navi to redistribute the forces, and there you have it. That's the response. KC get the reaction they were looking for, sure, but still, Ruxic hangs around. Sheriff at his side, and Hero in support from Dice backside. The smoke now drops in the front, looking for the fight. It's Ruxic that has the first. Time is of the essence. There isn't enough of it. Hero still hanging around, and with that denial, It's a quad kill that keeps Navi going in the second half of play.
He's had a massive series, time and time again, coming up with a clutch, and in this last, most pivotal half of the series, he comes up and wins the pistol round. It might only just be one round, but it's a massive one to get started.
Also comes through the support of Ruxic as well.
Let's go!
Tunnel of smokes to just path his way to the planter. Wondering if that hat was going to go flying off Saisha's head again, but for now, KC's still in this, but that pistol does put them at odds of this defense, as we said.
Gotta remember, this year is so important for both sides. Most importantly, this Masters for Navi because of Koala Noob. He's Canadian, he wants to be in Toronto.
So we said a family reunion on home soil, perhaps just leading the vibes of this team, keeping the energy up, emotion cited by Sadak on the other side. Where are KC's heads at right now? A round like this, it's just got to be picking up orbs. And it is the skipper who has already done so. 4 away from the ult. Looking to find his 5th ult point. But with the mesh in main on A, it's mid they go. And Koala, they head into.
He's trying to be the man, dragging his team to Toronto. The rest of the supporting cast helping him out and doing so. The last two of Martin and Elite try and make something on towards A. Those sonic sensors and sentinel utility to try and get through.
Over there.
The players in place. Just to set this one up, KC looking for any kind of out, but every route they walk into is met with trouble. A player picked up by Martin, but that was one of the pistols. KC need to do a little bit more here if it's to make any kind of damage on what will be another Navi strong bonus that's set up.
And would this be the time to finally win out your bonus? Send you towards double digits. A chasm between the two teams at the minute, which KC need to try and cross through their first buy.
This round is absolutely huge and potentially netting Angel his first ever win over Sadak. In terms of the call for this round, it's going to be grouped up with long-standing teammate Shao. The combo of util dumped towards tiles, but no result. You can see Navi is sticking to the strengths of this comp.
They don't need to fight mid.
You can just re-clear it with the drone instead.
Exactly. Although Martin thought was going to get that engagement with Koala, instead decides to TP all the way back and is going to be jump spotting mid.
Like this placement of the sensor as well from Angel. It's forced Sadak to just face check it, and with that now broken, all picked up, it's further information towards Navi as to what exactly is going on in this round.
But see the thing, KC think that that's where the Cypher is because of the last round. That's deadlock was on A. They've switched up their sentinels and KC could be executing into their own doom.
It's another utility investment though in the meantime. Barrier mesh has been dropped in towards B main, but that's not before both the salvos and the net had been placed as well. Still A under threat, and the traps are here. Oh, Hero's been suppressed though.
It's massive. He managed to get a cage off, so hasn't been identified by the info dart. And guess one of his own, Koala's here to try and get some support, but Martin continues on his reign of terror.
And Ruxic's still hanging around in main. They had to clear him or plant the spike. Less than 10 seconds once this comes in.
Yeah, this is going to be close, but didn't account for Elite. Did Angel 2v2 post plant, and Navi look to come out the other side the better. Elite from short has to try and fight his way through, doesn't even get a cam. It's just going to be a defuse, and what a way to finally convert a bonus round, Navi!
When they needed it. And those players standing tall on the A site again. Hero gets his one, and Ruxic just hangs on. The amount of sustain he has from these smokes, it's such fundamental play, but executed correctly. Martin with one, everyone on KC doing a little bit of something, but still, Navi, the all-important round result.
And I think as well, this could perhaps be the quickest that we have seen a timeout used since the start of a half. Karmine Corp, the ones to do it, because they are on the edge of elimination. Resuscitation needed by the support staff.
Saish that steps up right now, it seems. Given opportunities to call for the team. I mean, think back to kickoff a couple years ago now when Eng gave him that experience. You've got to be relying on the players that feel like they can make the right call right now, whoever that is, assistant coach, head coach, anyone in the server who feels like they have the read on what Navi are setting up for.
And I think as well, right, we spoke about how important it is for Navi and Koala Noob to finally get towards a Masters event, especially in Toronto, where Koala Noob, I mean, he is Canadian, but for KC, their eyes should be on Paris. They need to get these champions points. And if they lose here, it's a massive chance to win the series out. Gone.
Absolutely. So into the next round we look to see if what was said from Sadak and the rest enough. Someone who, as we mentioned before, has brought on teams out of bad situations. You look at Loud, mentoring some of that younger talent, the question always being, could he do it without Aspas? Madrid, a sufficeable answer, I think. Martin's been doing brilliantly on the Jet. And now he has support behind him. Only Angel here, but getting out of dodge with his own util, and Navi very quickly retaliating.
Yeah, and they've got so much stall potential with what they have, and so KC decide to look elsewhere, but Koala's ready, so is Shao. I think they're actually thinking about moving into main.
This is a huge isolation. It is only Sugetsu here, but his Sheriff now has to have a bigger moment than it has done previously. Asking a bit too much.
Still, Koala Noob has moved in towards B main as KC find a little spot in market to work with. This is just a bait on A.
Navi are so happy to give this space away at the same time. They have control on either side of the map. The mains, more importantly, Angel and Koala, as you say. Now looking at the Canadian. Feels as if he has his time to strike beyond the cage. At least one kill, but that's the spike. At the back of the pack, it goes down.
10 seconds left.
And so Navi up to an 11th. KC, you know, in some of these eco rounds, just really haven't felt all that threatening. There's so much control, but it's not even necessarily coming from the Sentinel players. The setup's on site.
Yeah, it's the setups on site, but again, it's also how comfortable and the understanding that the full Navi roster has in terms of they know when they can move into mains, they know when there's a step too far, and I don't think they've necessarily put a foot wrong since they've moved on to the defense. Well, we know that because they've won every round on this second half.
This is the most important of the lot though, Cairo. Win here, it's 12. And very well, a series taken.
That buy won't look great either for KC if they lose this.
Very early knife though, important just to detail that Angel has been spotted towards short. So from what KC have collected info already, is there a possible way they can see what the setup is? This is something we haven't seen before though. Cam contact for a Koala flash, it's an elite lurk. He is solo in this endeavor.
Big 1 versus 1 that could potentially be won out. The poke and prod on the A side has been won out by Navi because they've got the A main space.
Elite may very well just step into this, but slow in the approach. KC creep closer towards the B site. It's a drone to round the corner, it's broken, and this is the play. Koala taking it into his own hands, just one.
Yeah, that's all it is going to be, but the setup from the Cypher was good. Can't capitalise, and now it's Hero at the back of sight. He's been spammed out, they know where he is because he responded to the bullets sent his way. And now we go into a 2 versus 4. Ruxic trying to take a timing, but well noted. And now it's up to the captain.
Not feeling like Angel's going to be coming up with the goods here though. KC, slow approach. All circling back to his position at the start of the round. And that's how you have to play some of these defaults. I mean, I don't think really they've been known for this kind of style in the past. but it's the one that you're forced to play against this Na'Vi side right now.
Especially when you have to find out where the Sentinel utility is, right?
They don't have to challenge for that space. They win it outright, as do KC this time. 4 players left standing. That's round number 6. Still 5 more, though, to close the gap up entirely. They showed us they were capable of doing it before, but when it got to 9-9 on split, it was all Na'Vi.
Yeah. I think for KC, they found a way to win outright, but I also feel as if there was some mistakes from Navi there. They had a good read on what they wanted to do. Koala unlucky not to get 2 and get traded out. We will look towards A main in this fight once again.
Angel here. Pressed this time, but a miss sensor is a very quickly recollected one. Navi on the offensive, 2 players to come in from short, but there is support from middle. It's Koala Noob just facing by himself, and while Net's going to come in there, the salvos, do they arrive in time? No, Martine dashes right out.
It's going to be a big duel in mid. Most importantly towards the arch. Rooksik TP into the other side. The spam coming through, but they can't quite find him. He's taking his time and they can't quite find the value.
Navi ever evasive, but look at Rooksik. He wants to keep on going. Just the 1 kill that he picks up. Navi still putting their foot down. 50 seconds or less. KC need to make a move, and in terms of space taken and utility dealt with, there is not much at all.
This is big.
Ava's just going to rip the ult. It's a hit and hope, so to B they go.
Yeah, but you see that. It takes all the Sentinel utility offline, and Hero's here by himself. He has no support.
30 seconds left.
Still creeping closer to the site, taking their time. Hero to take that first fight onto Elite, and that really opens things up. Util back in. Hero has his second. 2-on-2, but it drops to Angel. This one feeling a lot more likely.
And has the Gravnet, one off his ulti.
Can stop the swing from at least one of those players, and it's Sugetsu dead in his tracks. To the corner he will remain. Peeking back through though, Aves by his side. 7 for KC, they survive.
I always feel as if 7-11 is a really defining scoreline for a comeback. It's one where it's totally within touching distance, and especially when you look at economy, ultimates there.
It's another time where Martine just goes flying around the corner, jumping in.
Round by round.
But as we do go round by round, you've got to make those decisions. It is getting pretty stressful, and so Navi are heading into a timeout of their own. But it's you know, another 60 seconds for KC, which they wouldn't have otherwise. They've already used both timeouts. We're not going to be getting any more unless we go to OT.
And that's it. Boxing gloves off after this. It's going to be bare knuckle, no introduction of the coaches from here on forth. And it's what Sadak was talking about and what he wanted. It's all about who can call on the fly, who's going to be better in these scenarios for however many rounds that we have left in this series. I have to remind everyone of the stakes. Whoever loses this is out.
Not only out, but without a single win in the playoff stage either, which feels so different to at least maybe picking up one win and going up against some formidable opponents that we still have left in the bracket. Let me reiterate, it's 3 wins to take you to that top 3 from this position. Navi coming into the next round with plenty of odds. But the one that I'm looking at, and the player I'm looking at still for KC, remains to be Martine. He headed into this series 2nd globally for KD, just shy of 1.4. But it's the space making more than anything else, which is the biggest asset to KC right now against this Navi defense.
Playing with the pace, starting off fast, making Navi sweat. Didn't get much utility out the other side of it. They are going to get the drone to check mid.
KC's so slow. Just waiting for some information, and as this A site has both the sensors and the traps, the Cypher, the Deadlock, they know at least one of them now through the Owl drone. when we've seen KC pressure market before, though, it's just been a means to an end. They've not often executed, and you can see with the position here of Sugetsu still hanging around in A main, there's definitely a view to take this one back into the stack.
I mean, at the same time, Koala brings out Dimensional Drift, looking to clear out and find out where players are, and well, they're going to head towards A, and this is where the utility is.
As I said, just raising that question mark in middle, but now you're heading into the utility. It's the Hunter's Fury to try and gut out some of that space in the back. Ruxit gets hit and Sugetsu follows it up cleanly. Koala still here, and he's found his first. The salvo's in. How much time is there? Spike plant has to happen, and it's DICE where it'll go.
Got to be thinking about Martin still in towards mid. He could play late upset, perhaps a win condition, but the retake, we look at the annihilation from Angel to be the big win con here.
How can Navi flood out? Entrenched in the heavens, still waiting for this smoke to expire, but it's time instead. Those final grains dropping to the bottom of the hourglass, and that's where Martin starts to reveal his position, buys a little more time, because, well, I tell you what, KC are going to need it on their side. Hero starting to work on the defuse, and stepping in Martin maybe a moment too late. It's gone all the way through! Martin will die after time. But it's up as far as KC are concerned. No, what? He lived? He actually lived that. The cocoon didn't fully go off, but the point still stands. Navi have map point, and 5 rounds remains to be the gap.
But for Navi, it's 1 round. 1 round is all they need to put their hand into the next round in the lower bracket and survive. Just 1 match longer for KC, an underwhelming finish to their stage 1. A massive round to try and deal with a set play. Doesn't get the value that they're looking for. Martin noted by the Cypher cam.
Again, raising an issue for Navi to deal with. As soon as they take mid, Navi are dropping back that defensive line into Boathouse, but this time their support. The mesh is there, and so's the sensor. Martin still with blades and an updraft. He fires himself over the top of Switch, but it's only going one way for now in the feed. Shao gets his 2. Can Angel find 2 more? He's got the first. It's a trade out 2-on-2.
Look at how low Sadak is. He at least has 1 info dart to try and note anybody. He'll get the information he needs, but how long is he going to be able to survive?
Going through lane, flash behind it. Sadak just hiding underneath the rail right now as the lane walk-up comes through from Koala. Elite, the healthy player. We have to depend upon him again. KC, the blue wall could crumble under the pressure of Navi as they're putting it on. Elite has withstood at least that first player, but he has to go big where the rest of his team couldn't. To move on in their stead for KC, stage 1 hopes and dreams. Elite will continue where the rest could not. That's number 8, but how many more do we need?
I mean, we talk about CPR, resuscitation, that was a defibrillator. Electricity coursing through the veins of Elite to keep KC alive. Navi now. What's the response? I mean, you look at the eco, this is where you would do something crazy on the defense.
With 4 rounds left here, Navi very likely sent back onto an eco at least 1 more time before this map is done, and that being the 1 rifle in the hands of Koala already cut away, loose from the round. Angel picking it back up, but still favoring the Sheriff.
All I'm gonna ask, Navi, please do not use Shao's ultimate.
Okay, well, they can't hear you, mate, so we'll have to see if they go for it or not.
Still have that Guardian, though. That's a big point to talk about, because that's a bit of firepower.
And it's this stall as well into the late round, which makes things all the more concerning. Shao maybe even thinking about using the ult here, just purely based on the positioning of these players. Looks like he might just send it in, and oh, well, your wish will not be granted. Navi want to win it here and now. Shao still on the site with the gun in hand, and those reinforcements just can't arrive soon enough. Shot down where they stand. KC will have a 9th. We go again without a Navi ultimate.
The question is it a fake ultimate? Is it the real deal? Hero just trying not to give much away here.
It's crazy too with the amount of points that requires to get up. I feel like so many times we've seen not just any old run-of-the-mill ultimate, not just your neural theft.
Yeah, like,
sorry, Bear. From the shadows, but like some really big round-defining ults are being just thrown into the fire.
Quite literally, mate. Like you're sitting there and you're like, listen, guy. It's like the Mourinho story with the Balotelli one, right? Like, listen, do not get a yellow card. Do not use your ultimate. Angel, please, do not use your ultimate. And then you come into the next round and they just send it, and you're like, oh goodness gracious.
If you can find a way to pull it off, you look like a genius. But now, I think Navi on the receiving end more often than not.
But like you speak about, right, I know everyone speaks about like percentage plays and the numbers and let's crunch them, pushing up the glasses as Bren likes to say, but in these moments when it is literally playoff life on the line, I think the percentage play is what you opt for.
Absolutely. If there's one takeaway I take from this series is how NA pilled you are, but heading into this one,
they're from the UK.
That's true. And in terms of how we carry on in EMEA, it's Koala that starts things off. Shao finding the next. Could this be the round for Navi? Sui has responded. There's still a player advantage with the defense, and they have util to fall back on both sides.
That they do.
And even the setup here for Navi, you look at it, it's Sentinel players on either side of the map, so even if Aves had gone far, straight in with their ultimate, they were prepared for it. A lot of thought put into this, but now KC are on a plan B.
Towards a look at the utility set up for Hero. Cypher cam for contact. Sonic sensors round about him to create a support network, and he's calling to his team. I've seen players on my cam, they're in short. Where does KC go here? There's a gap in towards tree, and that's exactly where they find to opt to go.
The question is, are they overcooking this a little bit too much? Because, as I say, bunkers on both sides for Navi. Less than 30 seconds in the plays through spawn. Ruxic watching over it, but as soon as that penny drops, there's problems for KC. Elite can at least solve it with a kill for now, but this is so chaotic, Cairo.
It is, and look at this, the Omen ultimate used to try and clear out Hero instead. Found by Elite's rifle. His opposite number, the Sonic sensor, gives the game away, but look at the deposit in mid. Sugetsu could be massive here.
Hearing the steps, all on Sugetsu, gets the first, and over his former captain, the wool is pulled over his eyes. Elite was just sweating when that sensor went off, hoping that the spike could go down, and now that KC have it, it's a split deck completely. One player main and one back from short. All of this heard by Elite. Koala straight into the firing line as KC continue.
I mean, that round was like prime time boxing, dancing round one another. But with that being said, I mean, the most important thing for me in the next round is one. Aviz has his null command up and available, so they can take and get rid of any Sentinel utility that's possibly needed. But the other aspect to it is Navi's buy. They are stricken once again.
So they've read into a double stack on A with both Hero and Angel. Mid presence made.
Navi are gambling. They want to flood back in towards A.
Yeah, but this is the play that you make. Already Martin is low. Top gen is where he will dash to. And the null command comes in, but Navi have players in position. They are knocking on that door. There's just a couple guns in play, but they are so quickly dealt with. KC have 11, and once again, we are at the very least guaranteed 24 rounds, but even then, whoever ends up losing this will feel hard done by. It's gone all the way down to the wire and then some.
That's on every single map, has it. We've had full regulation, one overtime, and I think overtime right here would be just. Both teams have a buy. Both teams have ultimates, which should find value. Koala Noob has decided to go for the glass cannon operator. set play in towards B main, hasn't found value, and Koala finds a little gap to work with.
Running into player traffic just yet, because Shower shut it down. The mid lurk lost. All focus on B, and Angel the one to receive it. Right up against this wall. Sensor by his side. Drone comes in, it gets the info, and that's the reinforcement. Angel needing the duel, winning it. Navi in position. This rematch from the first game of kickoff. Looking to go Navi's way. A second time of asking. Koala Noob in backside, so much support. KC are cornered.
Looks like they are.
I mean, you can barely get back past that mesh in main. The setup's over on A. Where do you go?
It's the question that Sadak is trying to answer right now as they wait to see if Navi try and dry peek into the rifles, holding the angle. Remember, there's still 35 seconds to work with here.
This from Ruxic as well, just another
30
spanner in the
left.
works, playing around his own smoke and looks to take this fight on the chin, closing in, Navi in position! 13-11! This story will continue for them in the lower bracket, responding after being sent down by BBL. And unfortunately enough for KC, the wait will continue to return to another global event.
That's the question, right? It is how much pressure is this roster under? They brought in Sadak to be the guy to carry the team forwards. I mean, the whole roster was built with the sights set on Paris, but closer to home, that's where the sights need to be set now, because there is real problems that they need to answer.
Think to their group stage as well, dropping to both Liquid and Foot late on in the groups. It's a frustrating one more than anything else now, because without the deep run, going out in this fashion with so many close series, just 6 rounds in it across the whole thing, 2 on each and every map. A lot of work to be done before stage 2, but I have to say, Navi will be happy to have taken this one home, because you do see the improvements game on game. And a smile of relief perhaps on the face of Koala as they just keep on going.
I mean, that's it. Keep on swimming, as we say. And well, Navi did excellently. Sure, there was a few lackluster rounds, a few